Wonderful. Very good morning, sir. I'm addressing the editor, sir. He has just now joined. Very good morning, sir.
Hi.
Sir, all the speakers are there already joined the program. I request the coordinator to start with the program also.
Good morning,
Madam.
sir. Good morning to all of you. Good morning to all. I am Pranjali Sandurkar, Assistant Professor from Center for Textile Functions, NMIMS University, Shirpur campus. Take privilege to host inaugural ceremony of fourth Management Development Program on better industrial practices for improving productivity and quality. Growth of RMG sector in India, key factors organized by SVKMS, NMIMS, MPSTME, Center for Textile Functions, Shirpur. We are honored to have with us Chairman of the program, respected Mr. Akshay Malhotra Sir, Director NMIMS Shirpur Campus, respected Dr. Arup Rakshit Sir, Associate Dean, Center for Textile Functions, Shirpur, the eminent speakers from leading textile industries, Mr. Srinidhi Nadgowda, Vice President Operations and Sales, Intermarket India Private Limited, Mumbai, Mr. Sudhir Mohite, Assistant Vice President, Alok Industries Limited, Silvassa, Mr. Dharmen Mehta, Director Worldwide Fabrics Inc., Mumbai, Mr. Naveen Mehta, Quality Manager, Creative Garments, Daman, and Mr. Pawan Thakral, ex Ex-Marketing Lead, Park Avenue, Raymonds, Mumbai. On behalf of Center for Textile Functions, Shirpur, I extend my heartiest welcome to all dignitaries, participants, colleagues, and my dear students in this Management Development Program. Today's Management Development Program is based on RMG sector, means ready-made garment sector is the biggest manufacturing sector in India, contributing both to wealth and employment generation. The garment industry has always been persistent to dress up in the changing scenario. World over, the trend of purchase garment is shifting from customized clothing to ready-made garments, delivering high-quality garments and innovative products in designs, colors, and services at low cost in shorter lead time with increased demand of global brands and area of production. The current management development program has been conceived keeping this background in view. Therefore, the topic of today's program is growth of RMG sector in India, key factors. This program will deliberate upon all those topics which need to be understood by stakeholders of garment industries. The eminent industry speakers will share valuable knowledge in today's management development program. The expert sessions are scheduled from 11 a.m. to 1:15 p.m. and afternoon session will start from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. followed by concluding sessions, participants' feedback and vote of thanks. So I request to all to be with us in program. Now, I would like to request Dr. Arup Rakshit Sir, Associate Dean, Center for Textile Functions, Shirpur, for inaugural address.
Yeah.
Please, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, madam. The great welcome and good morning to all of you. Respected Director, sir, Mr. Akshay Malhotra, uh, the eminent speakers from the industry, students, ladies and gentlemen. The series of the program which we are organizing on behalf of CTF, uh, you are now familiar with. This is the fourth program in the series where we had already been addressed in various aspects of textile industry. Started with out of covering the entire value chain, we should say. Started with fabric forming, then yarn, and today's topic is one of the very important parts of the entire value chain at the end of the textile manufacturing system is the ready-made garmenting. In between, in the last month, we had hold another very important, aspect of the industry as a whole is ESG. So environmental and social governance was a very important area, not even in the for the textile industry, it is overall for the entire industry sector. So today's ready-made garment sector we are going to address, and the major 5 areas we are going to address and discuss or to learn the things that what should be the do's and don'ts of this particular segment of the industry. Before that, let me tell you that the RMG sector has been growing over the last nearly 30 years, and it has now taken the shape of an organized sector of the entire textile value chain. Large amount of export is actually involved in this particular segment. There are many policy formulations which had been in place over the last decade and yet to come. In the coming week also, when we have the budget session of 2022, we'll be able to listen to, we expect to listen to various SOPs given to the textile industry. And we expect that the textile industry will have another rejuvenated performance in the coming decade. The major 5 parameters or the factors which govern the entire RMG sector or ready-made garment sector is or can be divided with these: supply chain management, the production merchandising, inventory management, very important aspect, quality control standards and procedures, and last but not the least, the brand building. If we look at it, that all these 5 parameters, besides others, it is not, in fact, it is unending. There are various parameters to learn, various parameters to discuss, so that this particular segment gets a proper footing in the Indian textile industry map once again. And in fact, after 13, 14, 2013, 14, there are a lot of policy matters introduced by the government of India, for which now RMG sector has taken a wonderful stepping or the wonderful footstep. So with this, I'd like to conclude the session because all the participants must be waiting eagerly to listen to the nitty-gritty of all these 5 parameters from our very eminent speakers from the industry. Thank you very much once again. I welcome you all to this program and make it a grand success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your encouraging to all our participants with your valuable words. Now, I would like to invite most distinguished personality, respected Dr. Akshay Malhotra, sir, Director, NMIMS Shirpur Campus, for ceremony address. Please, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. A very good morning to all of you. Let me start by saying that NMIMS Shirpur, and by extension CTF, we believe that it is a job of any educational institute to prepare its students for life. Now, of course, career is a big part of life. Now, while every college mostly talks about the first job, the placement, we think an educational institute's job is much more than that. We should be the ones preparing our students for the job interview they'll be facing 10 years from now, 15 years from now, not just 3 or 4 years from now. And let me be very honest in admitting that an educational institute can't do this on its own. It needs the help, support, and wholehearted participation of industry if we are to create such graduates. In my experience, now this becomes a chicken and the egg problem. Industry says, well, you are not giving us industry-ready graduates. We have to train them all over again. Academia says, you're not participating only. We see you once a year when you want to come for placements. So this is a chicken and the egg problem and a blame game, which has been going on ever since I was a student. I've been hearing these things and it's been my experience also. Let me put a disclaimer over here. I'm an engineer. I joined NMIMS Shirpur around a year ago. I'll be completing a year soon. And this has been my first experience with education in textile and my first experience with CTF. Now, whatever I have said about the participation of industry in academia and the blame game that goes on constantly between academia and industry, I am so very delighted, so happy, so proud to say CTF is an exception when it comes to this. And in my viewpoint, textile industry is an exception when it comes to this. So Saturday morning, 10 o'clock, directors of companies, vice presidents of companies, assistant vice presidents of companies taking the time off, early in the morning, committing for an entire day and being here with us because they want to share their expertise, their knowledge with the students. This is such a refreshing change and we really, really appreciate your contribution in this endeavor. And ये भी कहूँगा आप लोग अपने लिए ही कर रहे हो ये सब. Only when you contribute like this will we be able to give you the manpower that you truly deserve, that the textile industry truly deserves, because even as a layman I can say with all the government initiatives, PLI schemes, and I do own some stocks in the textile sector, it is really booming and I really believe the best is yet to come. This is just the beginning for the textile sector. So thank you for making it happen. And I see you guys and do it in every of these sessions. So Dr. Rakshit and his team, a big congrats to all of you. This is the 4th such session and every time we have had such participation by such distinguished guests. These days there is so much talk about sustainability. So this is a series. This is the 4th such session. So Dr. Rakshit, you and your team, I'm proud to say, have created a sustainable initiative, and I'm so glad we'll be continuing with this endeavor for times to come. So अब next क्या आ रहा है? I'm sure my friends in industry they know. Next is a request that I hope this is not a one-time appearance. So, and I hope we can see you in our campus till the things are normal. We see you online. We request for your wholehearted participation. I know Dr. Rakshit and his team, they are going to be reaching out to you. Now let this be a textile school with a difference. And very soon, I'm very, very glad to say in sometime this year, in the first half of this year, most probably, our textile school will be shifting right next to the textile industry. This is going to be one of the very few schools, in fact, I believe just the second one in the country, to have this kind of opportunity that the school is seated right in the textile industry. But we need your help. We can't do it without you. This is just the first step, a big first step. All of you are committing your Saturdays. We really appreciate it. But we think this will be a start of a beautiful partnership together, a beautiful relationship together. I'm really looking forward to what happens today. And very good luck and best wishes for today's session. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir, for your valuable words.
Madam, I will take a second just to sum up that what the director said address was and the content, in fact. Sir, it's lovely that you have encouraged us and addressed us with this kind of approach, and truly we believe also the boom. See, every industry has its own ups and downs. Textile had a lot of turbulence over the last couple of decades, I should say, after the strike in Mumbai happened, and thereafter it was trying to rejuvenate itself, but it took a lot of time. That is one point. But before that, I would like to also mention one thing, that we have a special guest in our inaugural session only, and the major participation from this industry is ATE Enterprises Private Limited, Mumbai. This organization has already sponsored financial support or the scholarship for the students of CTF. And with us, the Vice President of Textile Engineering Group, TEG, Mr. Naveen Agarwal. Yesterday, when we had been formulating the various, Naveen was addressing, we had a dialogue yesterday evening, and sir, honestly speaking, the AT Enterprises not even supporting the students with the help of scholarships, they have also extended the supports for grooming the students session-wise, grooming the students through their HR group, and it's a wonderful approach or the extension of from Mr. Naveen Agarwal. And we are looking for these kind of sessions once the final year students comes in the campus after 15th of February. They are now at the industrial training program. So once they come back, we will be definitely organizing such program. And I would like to congratulate and appreciate once again the AT Enterprises Private Limited and the personal mobilization of Mr. Navin Agarwal. Thank you so much once again. Over to Madam.
So I would just like to
Thank
say something now.
Yes,
So this
please.
is a to and fro that's going on.
No
So
problem.
firstly,
दूसरे मीटिंग है textile हम join कराला सर अनिप सर सर ने भाई नहीं
those who are not speaking or scheduled to speak, yes, thank you. Can you please keep yourself on mute? So, Mr. Naveen, heartfelt gratitude to you. Thanks from our side for the continued support and generosity. And so I just want to say one thing. We hope to see all of you on our campus soon now. Hopefully the third wave is coming over. We are in Shirpur and we have a beautiful riverside campus. Please come, enjoy our hospitality, interact with our students, interact with us, and please take this as an open invitation to all our esteemed guests that next time that we meet, hopefully we will be seeing you on our campus. Please do take me up on this. Thank you.
Once again, once again, I will try to snatch 1 minute, sir. Let us be little interactive because 11 o'clock is yet to come. We have 10 minutes to go. No problem. Sir, I would like to introduce the two speakers on the screen, not even two speakers. Okay, the four speakers, no, three speakers by and large. Mr. Vikas Saran, Mr. Srinidhi Radgowda, Sri Naveen Agarwal, and Dharmen Mehta. Dharmen, are you there? Yeah, he is also visible on the screen. I'm proud to say that in 1992, possibly, am I right, Vikas?
Yes.
Okay, so they are from the BTech batch and they gracefully say, I am their teachers. I am their teacher. So they were my students and fortunately today all of them are here. What has happened because this particular segment or the business or the parameters, what we have said, I could make out that they are the wonderful, they have content. In fact, they have practiced these areas by their own hand. Even Mr. Mohite, who is there on the other side of the screen, he has a large experience and that too from the Alok Industries. So putting all these things together, we wanted to, organize this particular program so that the audience will definitely get wonderful, takeaway at the end of the day. So and Mr. Vikas Saran is our BOS member as well. Let me introduce him once again because he is now in the crowd. So this is another feather to the cap. Vikas is there with us. Thank you. Thank you.
So this is fantastic. I think Mr. Naveen wanted to say something.
Yeah, Naveen, please.
Thanks all Mr. Akshay Malhotra and of course our Dr. Rakshit and all the team. It's my privilege all the time I've been invited during the sessions and I made it that all the time I took out my time and ensured that at least I should be during the inauguration session and also managed to be during the ending of the session.
Yeah.
Today I'm too much of proud feeling that two of my best friends and classmates, of course Vikas Sharan and Dharmen and Srinidhi Nadgoda, we work together, almost all three of us will be speaking. And as I know that they are the best in their field and subject, you rightly said, Dr. Rashid, that they have worked with their hand. They have in-house inbuilt knowledge on the subject. Also, of course, I should not underestimate Mr. Sudhir Mohite. He is still working in the Alok with the big conglomerates on the garments and all. Keep us involved wherever you feel. If we not as a directly helping you, but we will arrange some good speakers as and when required. Various topics, various fields and all. And we will be always with you. In fact, maybe Vikas, when he started his career in spinning, he could do the first project in Shirpur only. Also, the one of the first project of supplying the spinning machines from LMW when he was in Voltas. I was also that time in Voltas, but later on, when the Shirpur campus decided to get into weaving in 2004, I'm still associated supplying all the preparation machines to Amrish Bhai and the group. So our attachment to the group NMIMS and of course to the CTF is from since decades and will continue to be there as long as we are able to deliver from whatever best from our side. That's a commitment from personally from my side. Thank you for inviting me once again.
One more addition, I should say, along with Vikas, Mr. Srinidhi was also associated. He was also with Voltas at the same time, and he had been to Shirpur, Shirpur when that time. I mean, in the mid '90s, I believe. Am I right? So they started with their career, and the starting point was Shirpur. So that's how they are associated with the organization for so many years. Thank you.
Dr. Rakshit, I would just like to add something over here before, so this has been Dr. Rakshit, as you know, this is the third address I've made since morning. So this is, we are becoming a more and more vibrant campus. I've been speaking since 9 a.m. today. But I think this has been such a refreshing opening ceremony. And let's make it a point if possible. And a lot of it depends on the guests also. Instead of formal ceremonies, I think this is the way to go. A discussion and interaction, something informal. After all, hey, it's Saturday, 10 a.m. and maybe a cup of coffee. But why is this important? Because for all the students, they are not talking, they are not interacting right now. But I can assure you, just listening to everyone speak, just seeing all these personalities over here who were also once in a similar state to where they were and seeing where they have reached in life right now. This is just so inspiring. This is as important. I can assure all of you that this little 5-10 minute interaction that has been, this is going to be as useful to them in life as the technical inputs they are going to receive today. So Dr. Akshay, this is my request to you. If we can have informal sessions also with guests like this, and maybe next time, this is obviously an opening ceremony, something where students can also ask them questions about life, how did they make certain changes, or when there were some changes in this, industry, how did they adapt to it. I think these kind of sessions, informal sessions, are going to play such a vital role in the students' development. And I would request, I'm putting all of them in a spot. I'm sure they are not going to say no publicly. So that's why I'm requesting them publicly. It will be our pleasure to host all of you for these kind of sessions. And Dr. Akshay, it will be my pleasure. I'm self-inviting myself. It will be my pleasure also to attend them. Thank you. Sure. And I assure you, I'm not going to speak out of turn now. Thank you.
Thank you. No, it's okay. Absolutely nice, sir. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your valuable words. We are always motivated by your inspiring words to us, and your motivational always takes to us new heights, sir. Thank you once again. Rakshit sir, shall we start for the first technical session?
Vikas was saying something, so I would like to hear from you.
Because you want to say something, please.
Just 2 minutes. Of course, it's a pleasure and an honor to be part of the Shirpur campus. I would just like to share a very small trivia of how it all started. How Priyadarshini Shirpur, Sudhgirni, or the spinning mill, which was my baby project when I was in Voltas, it started. We were in office. I think Srinidhi was also there. And I saw this gentleman in white dress, white shirt outside and a trouser. He just came and sat in front of me. We didn't have a very swanky office at that point of time in the textile division of Voltas. And he says कि मुझे एक spinning mill चालू करना है. So I said, okay. So उसके लिए क्या क्या करना पड़ता है? So I told him that you have to start with the quotation and this. ठीक है, तो मुझे quotation दे दीजिए. और क्या चाहिए? तो I said हमको 10% advance चाहिए. ठीक है, और क्या चाहिए? So this gentleman was talking like this. I said मैं आपका शुभ नाम जान सकता हूँ? तो हाँ, मेरा नाम अमरीश पटेल है और मैं शिरपुर से आया. So I didn't know Amrish Bhai till then. What I'm trying to just say in this short time is the simplicity of great people and their yearning for learning new things without throwing their weight around and giving their background in the first meeting itself. Even in the second meeting, I didn't know who he really was. And so I gave it to him, and then he invited me to Shirpur. I said, okay, because I was familiar with Dhulia because I started my erection at Jawahar Dhule in 1993. So I was there, Lokanayak Shahada, I was aware about it. Voltas also had some projects coming in and around Shetkari Sakari Nagaon, which is the project on the road itself. But I never knew about Shirpur. And when I visited there for the first time, and then when I went around and I saw what progress Amrish Bhai was doing, that was the time when it struck me how great he was from a visionary perspective, from imparting education, to be part of the education system, and without any egos or weights around him. That was the time when I could understand way back then that I must align with this gentleman to spread this knowledge, and this passion for coming up with profitable projects, making it was not just a cooperative mill, it was a dream. It was the start of a dream, and that's how it started. Of course, later on I was overseas, but I was always in touch with the progress which this area was making, and then we went into weaving, and then the rest is history. So it has been my pleasure to be associated with Amrish Bhai and his dream projects, and it is an honor for me to be part of the board of studies. And like Dr. Akshay mentioned, that the participation from industry with academia is very, very important, because what is happening in industry, if it is not shared with the students when they are taking these courses, uh, they will come out like when we came out. We were raw, fresh, and then we had to learn ourselves, and then we had to go ourselves through that. So we assure you, Dr. Malhotra and the team, Dr. Akshit, that we will continue this interaction. And definitely, I would want to visit the campus in the near future. Thank you so much.
Naveen, I'd like to request Naveen to put up the words here.
Yeah, thanks. As I already spoke, we, of course, from AT, we started also supporting students which are financially they need, and particularly girl student, where we have our own thrive and drive to, make more girl student to also come. If they are financially poor, to take admission and pays the fees, we are ready to support them. We have a selection criteria wherein the CTF is helping us, and this is the third year we will do our participation in helping the students. That's one part. I think that's also come as a part of CSR of any company with good cause. But practically, principally, we want to also participate and share what we learned in the industry, what rightly said by Vikas, and will also be shared by my other friends, that we gained this knowledge over last 30 years. So why can't we impart some of that to the students, so that when they go to the industry, they will be ready material for them, that they should not be called as a fresher. Because today every entrepreneur is coming with a new idea. They already have existing business, but they don't have the professional people. So why can't our student go as a professional person to guide any entrepreneur who is not having that knowledge on the communications or all, and they can flourish that business and help them to grow. I think those things are required apart from looking at the corporate customers and serving there. I think the small customer one can, and nowadays we are seeing the startups. Today I was just again watching the repeat telecast of Shark Tank. Many talents there, and in textile also we can do much more things. So our help, our support, our participation, our association with CTF and students, they can reach us one to one. We can do, and the novel idea what Dr. Akshay Malhotra said, that can it be open session for all? We can interact and discuss and all. So they will be open up. I can understand that being from the place like Shirpur and students coming from the too rural area, English is the biggest barrier for them. So we don't mind even students speak in the local language and try to understand, and make some courage to talk in the forum. And definitely they will have a bright future. So we are always with you. We'll coming up with a new idea, selection of a right speaker, right subject, and taking us around. And the best part with CTF is like, you are not only doing for student, but you are doing for industry. Student is the part of this session. So they are also seeing that many I could see from Vaira, WRA, Mrinali ma'am is there, and many others, if I can see the list. So I think people are, actively participating. I can also request that you can also invite some of the media people, which can take you also to the greater strength, like Textile Magazine, Textile Excellence, Textile Value Chain. Let them be also part of this session, so that they can also give little more publicity what you are doing exactly. So that will also help you in reaching the bigger crowd across India, rather than the contacts what you have. So this is all from my side. wishing all the best for today's program. I don't think I may able to continue attending whole day, but definitely I have to listen all the eminent speakers to whom I work. What knowledge they can also give it to me along with the student. That's more interesting for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your valuable opinions and sparing time with us. Thank you, sir. Rakshit, sir, shall we start the session?
Yeah, I think let us move on to the technical session of the day.
Sir,
Okay,
can I
thank
take
you,
a minute, sir?
Mrinali ma'am
Yes,
has
please.
raised the hand, so if she want to talk something.
Uh,
Mrinal man.
Yeah, sir, thank you so much. Such sessions have been conducted, and we always look forward for such association with NMIMS also. Earlier, during setting up a center of excellence, we have conducted like lectures also in NMIMS about this, what is technical textile, what is sport textile. So we look forward for like, such interactive activities, seminars, and other things also for the students as well as the nearby the industrial people also. Thank you so much.
I'd like to just Dr. Minal from WRA.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Good
sir.
morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning,
Your
Dr. Mrinal.
camera on.
I saw her and specifically I mentioned her name.
Yeah. I have
Means
also
I have logged in from the laptop. Na? There's some people were around me. So that's why I had kept my camera off.
But anyway, okay, nice,
So
nice.
I was signing some papers and some things. Na? So I was listening to activities, but I was doing simultaneous work. So I kept my work. Because looking forward for your session also.
Arey bhai, I'm part of the Shrota. I'm not part of the speakers today for a change.
Okay. Then we look forward
one more thing I want to say that apart from students, our faculties are also getting a lot of knowledge through this session. And this is helping them to pass on to the student of next generation, next batches and also. That's really a good part. Thank you.
Sir, I
Continue,
have
please.
a really need to appreciate Rakshit sir. Like wherever you name it and he's there. So he's so much involved into so many activities. So at WRS level also we look forward for one collaborative activities would take for the industry people training and all also.
Sure.
So that we become a part and we give the strength to the industry. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam, for your valuable opinions. Okay, now I would like to start the technical sessions. Before proceeding to our technical sessions, I would like to introduce our expert speakers, Mr. Srinidhi Nadgowda, Vice President Operations and Sales, Intermarket India Private Limited, Mumbai. Sir is graduated in Textile Engineering from Vijayanagar College, Mumbai, and did Masters in Marketing from Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies. Sir is a self-starter with good organizational and interpersonal skills with strong problem-solving abilities. Sir had a 28 years of rich experience in textile industries with core competency in customer relationship management, digital marketing, brand building, and providing market solutions, developing and cultivating a strong network of business partners and customers, in-depth knowledge of retailing and related supply chain operation. Sir was associated with companies like Welspun, Ritter, and Voltas in past. From October 2013, Sir is working as a head of sales, marketing, and operations functions at Intermarket India Private Limited. Intermarket has been successively winning the Golden Trophy for its expert achievement from Textile Export Promotion Council. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Srinidhi sir to start expert session on the topic of apparel supply chain configuration current trend. Please, sir.
Good morning. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You can hear me, right? Thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome, Ms. Pranjali Chandurkar. No need to call me sir. I mean, you can just call me Srinidhi. There's no formality when Dr. Rakshit is around. So, distinguished guest, my dear friends from the industry, my co-speakers, Dr. Malhotra, a very young director of your institute, and young at heart, Dr. Rakshit, who's student's teacher. I mean, I call him teacher. I don't call him professor because during our time, the professor used to be very straight jacketed, seriously looking personalities. So Rakshit sir, since 1992 till today, he's the same person, same gentleman with a smile on his face and very young at his heart, interacting with all his students for last 25, 26 years, not from my batch, even the later batches as well. So, sir, we are happy that you are associated with the Shirpur campus. And as Sharan said, we have very much sort of a warmth with the Shirpur since our career started with the Priyadarshini spinning mill and with Amrish Bhai, who's incidentally the chancellor of NMIMS now. And there is also commonality with NMIMS for me and for Sharan because our children, my son and Sharan's son, Sharan's son studied here and my son is studying currently and the fourth year. So it's always a pleasure to be with you. And with this, I take forward my session. Just excuse me, I'll start the presentation.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just a moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Till the time you're starting the presentation, I also finished my PGDBM from NMIMS.
Oh, yes, I forgot that.
So father and son, two generations.
Correct.
Is my presentation visible to all?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
It'll make it larger. Okay. So to begin with the first session of this symposium, a very complex subject, which is apparel supply chain management. Though all of us, we say we are experts in managing the supply chain, but at the fag end, we end up delivering the consignment little late, hiring courier services or hiring air services to deliver it to the customer on time, involving lots of cost, money into entire process. So let's take a review how this supply chain has been evolved over the years and what lies for the apparel supply chain at a later date. No subject can't be started. I mean, you can't start a subject without talking about the textile and clothing. Some of the trivia, which I just collected from various magazines, it's almost 30% of the share textile and textile articles hold across the world's total industrial output. Almost every year, 150 billion garments are manufactured. Out of that, fashion and clothing account for almost 74% of the global textile revenue. The share of natural fibers like cotton, wool, etc. is almost 44% of the global textile revenue. Of course, we have a very stiff competition from the man-made fibers, which is expanding into various aspects of textiles. There are certain products which were predominantly the cotton products are being engulfed by the synthetics, which is a little scary moment for a cotton producing country like India. For instance, some of these towels which are used for cleaning, these are manufactured with the micropolyester. So that is taking share of the cotton out of whatever we have been manufacturing. Textile industry is an economic driver for countries like India. No point to talk more about this because wherever we go for any of the government presentations related to textiles or the export promotional councils, the first sentence of the chairman of the promotion council is India, the textile provides the second largest employment after the agriculture. Then we have almost 7% of GDP, this percent of exports. All that talks are being discussed in various forums. But the major point that we forget here is, if you look at the exports of India vis-a-vis with China or any other countries, we are still around about 40 billion, 42 billion dollars, whereas China is still at about 236 billion dollars. See the gap. If we double from 44 to 80 billion, we would be almost having 20% of the export earning coming out of this country. We would be probably crossing the softwares. The software is one of the highest export earning sector. So just from 44 to if we touch 80, 84, we would be the number one for India. And probably the government will give a more focus to us. Out of all this, the apparel industry contributes almost 50% of Indian textile revenue. So it's a very important segment, very significant, and if we have a sufficient knowledge and sufficient information systems in place, we can do wonders with the apparel industry. This is how the textile and clothing looks like. If you look at the harmonized system of textile and textile articles, how vast spread is categorized, and you can see the various categories of the textile and textile articles. The more important factor for us is this ready-made garments and other made-up articles. So when you talk about ready-made garments, one is apparels, second is the made-up articles. I have worked with this made-up articles for last 15 years or so. The made-up articles is like towels, manufacturing bed linen, and anything that goes into home textiles. So the apparel again is classified into various small categories. And all these categories are very specific, very special. You need niche information, expertise services to handle some of these products. So someone who's manufacturing shirts, he cannot immediately go and start manufacturing knitted t-shirts. It's so classified into small niche segments. And that's also a sort of hindrance or a lag for development of textiles in India. Coming back on the supply chain management, what is supply chain management? It's integration of key business operations. So integrate various smaller stages of operations with a seamless transaction between various departments from end user, that is the consumer, to the raw material supplier. This has to be a time-bound specific activity where you have to do certain activities on specific time because it should be a deliverable in certain time. So it is a time-bound activity. At the same time, you have to be cost competitive. Yes, I agree you want to meet delivery timelines, but you also have to focus on the cost. It doesn't mean that you have to deliver on time. You should spend money on the courier. You should spend on doing the air freights and meeting the deadlines. Because if you do that, you are not cost competitive. Then again, the sourcing, how you source, what products you source, at what price you source, whether you source at the last minute, all this is going to add to the cost. So you have to be cost competitive when you look at the supply chain management. And finally, it should add value for the end user and the stakeholders. If you and me don't make any profits, what is the fun in having an efficient supply chain? So we have to make profits. We should be able to deliver it on time. The end consumer should be happy. If you deliver a fashion garment after the fashion is over, it has no meaning for the consumer. So it has to add value for the end user and the stakeholders. How a supply chain looks like in the apparel industry. Most of you must be aware of this. Fiber manufacturing. So that's where the basic happens. Fortunately, in India, we have abundance of cotton available. We have synthetic fibers available, polyester, you name it, the viscose. The fiber availability is not an issue for a country like India. Then the next stage is the yarn manufacturing. Again, here we have sufficient number of spinning plants which are operating in different geographies of India. I mean, earlier days we used to have spinning plants only in the south of India, and most of the yarn used to be delivered to the northern part. The cotton used to come from Gujarat. It was going down to the south, and then again it was going to north. But of late, in last 15-20 years, a lot of things have changed. A lot of spinning units have come up in the northern part. A lot of spinning units are also coming up in Western India and of course in the south. So the spinning mills are fairly segregated across the western, the southern and the northern part. Then comes the fabric manufacturing. Again, here you can always split into, there are standalone weavers, there are standalone process house. So apparel or a garmenting unit, he either buys the fabric from a fabric manufacturer readily. Some of these mills, they are selling like Morarji, who sell the fabric to all these RMGs. Or The apparel manufacturer gets the fabric woven at X place, it sends to the processing at Y place, and then gets the final fabric at his manufacturing unit or the RMG unit. This is a very critical process, very difficult process to manage. Maybe your weaver delays the fabric, the processor puts a lot of time in developing or processing the fabric. Sometimes there is a heavy rejection in the fabric. So ultimately, if you have bought a fabric of 100 meters, you get 80 meters delivered. And then again for 20 meters, you have to put a fresh order. So this all affects your delivery timelines. Then you can also see the small black small holes or the circles. These are the sub-suppliers which are very important for the apparel supply chain. These are your trim suppliers, your carton suppliers. If these people delay their deliveries, you have it. You have fabric, your stitching unit is ready, you're started the garmenting, but your labels are not available, your buttons are not available, your cartons are not available. What will you do? I mean, you just keep paying the wages for the workers. That's it. And it affects your delivery timeline. So these small black circles are very important, which are called as sub-supplier or ancillary suppliers or trim suppliers. They're very important for you when you're manufacturing the apparel. Finally, the product goes to the retailer, and then at the end, the consumer, the king, who buys the product, what you have manufactured. So the flow of demand is from consumer to the fiber manufacturer, and the supply is from the fiber manufacturer to the consumer. That's how the supply chain looks like for the apparel industry. What are the challenges and shortcomings of the supply chain for India, the apparel supply chain? It's a multi-stage operations, as you have seen in my earlier slide. It's a disintegrated process. There are various stages of manufacturing happens. Previously in 90s, till 90s, when we used to study, we had mills like Bombay Dyeing who were completely integrated. So they were able to manufacture the fabric, and they were also able to do the garmenting themselves. Of late, after 90s, by the time the Quota Raj was over, most of the units became a standalone unit. So everybody started becoming an expert in doing whatever they are good into. Either if they became only a weaver, or some of them, they just started doing the job work for the processing. New units like Saji Exports, they came up who were experts in the garmenting. They never involved into manufacturing. So with this kind of integrated process, disintegrated processes, you take a lot of time in getting certain products. It also involves a lot of money into getting the products done. So sourcing becomes very expensive. Whereas in China, you have clusters. So a spinner, a weaver, a processor, they are spread into almost 50 acres, 50 square kilometer area. So your logistic cost is very minimal. It's sometimes the processor or weaver is just next door. You get it processed or woven at his end. So your cost of logistics is less. The stitching units are interior parts of China. So once the fabric is ready, it is put on the truck, and it is going to the interior parts where the labor is cheap. So that's how China has been doing successfully year and year. Unfortunately, we couldn't do so. We have clusters. We have clusters in places like Surat. We have clusters in places like Bhilwara. But the problem is most of these clusters are tuned to handling the domestic products. I mean, if you see in India's business, almost 50 to 55% of India's textile business is catered by the domestic manufacturing. And when it comes to domestic manufacturing, the quality is secondary. It's only the production. So that doesn't give you an edge as a global manufacturer. Secondly, the information flow is inadequate, and most of the time it's opaque. So the coordination between various departments, suppliers, sub-suppliers is inadequate. The information doesn't flow in a proper manner. Most of them, of course, now most of the people are started having Outlook on their computers. They are able to send the mails. Earlier, it was all oral. Most of the time, it was oral. On some papers, people used to scribble, especially the smaller process houses. But things are changing now. Then there's a huge challenge in meeting OTF. OTF is what is on time in full. So as a supplier, you should be delivering your material on time that to entire merchandise to be delivered at one go. It's not that today I deliver 70%, after 15 days I deliver the balance 30%. You have to deliver all 100%. So it's called OTIF. If you review the OTIF of most of the reputed players, you'll be shocked. We are still not able to achieve more than 90% OTIF across the section, whether it's a home textile players or it's the apparel players. So OTIF is a big challenge for Indian textile manufacturers. Again, we are cost guzzlers, as we are habituated doing things at the last minute, running at last minute, getting things done at the last minute, without considering the capacity constraints of your own suppliers. So we end up paying more for every small activity. The cartons are ordered at the last minute, so you pay whatever price the carton supplier wants. Then you ask him to courier it by air courier, so you spend another 200 rupees a kilo on the air courier instead of getting it by the road surface transport. So all this indirect cost makes us incompetitive. And at the last, our delivery timelines are impractical. If someone is ready to deliver in 30 days, most of us, we expect a lead time of 60 days because we try to build a cushion in between. Because we are not sure about our own manufacturing efficiencies or the delivery lead time. So we always consider about say 10-15 days of cushion, and then we add up into our quotes, and then we quote a delivery lead time of about 60 days, which we should have been doing in 30 days as compared to the global manufacturers. So these are some of the inherent weaknesses of our supply chain management in India. It's not that everybody is going to the same boat, but of course, some of these points are involved at various stages of manufacturing, whether it's a high-tech apparel garmenting unit in India, or if it's a lower side manufacturing unit. So everybody has to go through this particular issues when manufacturing any apparel. How the supply chain strategies have worked out over the past. I mean, most of us, you may be knowing about what is push, what is pull. I don't want to deliberate on push and pull strategies more. But the push kind of strategy was in vague in earlier times. That was sometime before the Kota Raj came to an end, before 2000. So there were big mills in USA like Springs or Fieldcrest or Fruit of the Loom. They had their own brands, they had their own products, and they were just dumping those products at the retail outlets. They had their own marketing teams, and those marketing teams used to do aggressive marketing, and those products were sold in the retailer shop years after years. Only some colors would change, but the design would remain the same. So they were able to achieve economies of scale with kind of a strategy. In India, companies like Arvind Denim, they had their own product lines, and they still do that. I mean, they still push their the denim fabrics with various quality to the industry. But when the things started changing after 2000, hello, can others put it on the mute, please? Thank you. So post Kota era, after 2000, things started changing. Most of the integrated spinning or integrated plants, they disintegrated. Companies like Mafatlals, companies like Bombay Dyeing, they started focusing on their certain niche areas. And that's how the pull strategy started evolving, where your orders depended on what the consumer wants. So most of the high-end brands, the designer labels, they started working on the pull strategies. And that's where companies like Saji Exports, they came up into existence, and they started working with the pull strategy. Of course, here, your inventories are much lower because you are doing just in time. The manufacturing is just in time. You work with a smaller scale. It's a demand driven. There is no forecast available, so you don't keep your stocks ready for those products. And naturally, with this, your delivery lead times started going up because you are working on a pull, because you don't have everything available. You are not stocking anything. You are doing everything at just in time. So what next? Then came up this push and pull combination. Most of the bigger mills of today, like Welspun or Trident, Himmat Singha, they work on this push and pull combination. They work with the global retailers. The global retailers now have evolved. They don't have the suppliers brand. They have their own private brands. So when they have their own private brands, they create the designs, and the manufacturers like Welspun, Trident, or Himmat Sinka or Indocount, they do the manufacturing of the product based on the forecast received from some of these retailers. Here what they do, I mean, some of the retailers, they went ahead. What they started doing is they started providing the data of the consumer sales on weekly basis to all these manufacturers. The manufacturers started doing the analytics of this data and started working out how is the trend, and based on that they started keeping certain key ingredients ready. Like in a restaurant, when you go in a restaurant, what you observe is most of the things are ready, and in 15 minutes he's able to deliver the dish to you. I mean, you get surprised how it happens, but their basic ingredient is ready. The chicken is boiled, the vegetables are boiled, the gravy is ready. They just add these two products and whatever you need. If you need a green gravy, so they will have a green gravy. If you need a red gravy, they will make it red gravy. They will just name it something else, and then they deliver it to you in about 15 to 20 minutes. That's how they work. So exactly in the textile process, these concepts have started working on well. So the manufacturer will keep his fabric ready. If you're not aware what the colors are to be done, so he will be ready up to the gray stage. So he's weaving, he's spinning, he's is ready. So he keeps producing his loom. So his loom output also is optimal. He's able to save his cost on the overheads on the production of fabric. So finally, when it comes for the processing, he needs another 15 days for processing, another 15 days for stitching. So within about 30 days, he's able to deliver the merchandise. I worked with a company called IKEA, which most of you must be knowing. See, they went one step ahead. They started providing this data every week for all their stores, all their warehouses to us. And we started working on doing the data analytics in those days. Of course, this is about 10 years back. So the data analytics was basically based on the Excel sheets that we had. And we started working with that. And then finally, we realized that with certain aspects, I mean, at that time, my delivery lead time for IKEA was about 21 days. So after the receiving the orders, we were able to deliver it in 21 days. With this new system which IKEA introduced, we were cut down to the delivery timeline from 21 days to 7 days. So after receiving the order, we were able to deliver the order in 7th day. And mind well, though IKEA places huge orders, if you look at the number of SKUs, if you look at the number of warehouses they have, if you look at the number of countries they serve, it's much larger. I mean, every time I used to deliver about 100 odd SKUs to various places every week. But we were able to manage with the push-pull combination. So we started, earlier we used to do up to weaving. We then started taking a call and we started producing or processing the fabric and started keeping the fabric ready. So only thing that was remaining was the stitching, labeling, and packing. And that we were able to turn it around in 7 days. So this is how the global supply chains are evolving with the push and pull combinations. What is the winning strategy for future? Of course, as I said, push and pull combo that brings your delivery timelines. You don't have to keep huge stock. You can keep a basic manufacturing stock with push and pull combo. Collaborative manufacturing. This is a very important subject which we have to think about. And of course, companies like IKEA, I mean, again, giving a reference of IKEA because they are extensively working on collaborative manufacturing. Then they not only tie up with you, they also start working with your sub-suppliers. They visit your sub-suppliers, engage with them, provide them solutions to improve the manufacturing or reducing the cost. That's how the collaborative manufacturing should be. So your supplier should be part of your family. You should know what are his constraints. I mean, he need not hide or you need not hide what are your constraints. That way you can help each other. Then slowly we should move into functional apparels, the smart textiles. My friend Dharmen Mehta, who's a co-speaker, he can talk more about this functional apparels because he has done a lot of work in this area. So the basic garment manufacturers also should start thinking how I should move into upstream. That's the functional apparels. Of course, the technology, we have to involve technology more and more into our manufacturing. If we have to invest on pocket setting machines, automatic pocket setting machine, we should do that. If we have to invest on the Eton overhead package, we should involve into that. We should also go for certain softwares which improves your marker efficiencies. We should also involve the technology in investing into the PLM, that is product lifecycle management softwares, because that gives you entire information on table right from the day one when you made the first sample for your customer till your last supply. So you have everything at one go. So some of these PLM softwares, they help you in keeping records of your data. Of course, innovate, keep innovating, finding the ways to reduce your cost, making changes into your raw material supplies, the raw material requirements, the fabric structure, fabric analysis. Yes, you have to innovate and then keep trying, doing various things. And of course, you have to be cost drivers, whatever you do. If you are buying certain things at X cost, how you can reduce that X cost by 5% every year. That should be your motto. Here, I'll give an example of when I used to work in Welspun, my chairman, Mr. Goenka, during one of our quarterly meeting, he asked us, what is the freight you're paying from Vapi to Nhava Sheva? At that time, I think we were paying about 20,000 for a container load truck. He said, can you do it for 15,000? We all said, sir, it's not possible because these transporters, they demand certain things. Then he said, you ask him, I don't need a new truck. You can provide me an old truck, which is 8 years old or 10 years old, because my material is much lighter. And he said, generally, all these transporters, they use a new truck for delivering heavy materials like steel or pipes. For you, it's not important because your material weight is much lower. So you ask him that he can provide you a older truck. So when we started doing that, we were able to get the truck at, say, instead of 20,000, we got it at 18,000. So this 2,000 saving, though it looks much smaller for a company like Welspun, but that gives you a learning that whatever penny you can save, that is going to make you an empire. And that's what Welspun is today. I was sharing this information about 10, 15 years old. And now when you see Welspun is a $1 billion company, I'm talking about textiles. And if you talk at the group, it must be about $3 billion now. So cost driver, you have to keep focus on reducing the cost. What are the trends in supply chain? Mostly it is becoming an IT-enabled environment. The IT is in every parts of textiles and every activities. So a lot of artificial intelligence have come up that needs to be used by most of the retailers. Of course, most of the retailers have been using this data, this information of artificial intelligence. If I talk now, I want to eat Chinese. Maybe in the evening, I'll start getting advertisements on my Facebook about the nearby Chinese restaurants. So this is how we have been.
Good afternoon to all of you. This is the first session after lunch and fourth session from today's MDP Management Development Program. This fourth session is on the topic of brand building in ready-made garment sector. An expert speaker for this session is Mr. Pawan Thakral, ex-marketing lead, Park Avenue, Raymond's, Mumbai. But due to some urgent traveling was there for sir, so express speaker has sent his recorded session to us. So now we are going to present his recorded session for all participants.
I'm because I welcome you all here today, and I'm sorry I wanted to be in person doing this session live with you guys, but something professionally came up, and while you're watching this video, I'm in the middle of few meetings, but I'll try and attend last 5 or 10 minutes of this session, where I'd try and answer some of your questions if there are. So welcome again, and special thanks to all the professors who put this together. Special thanks to Dr. Arup Rakshit as well for pursuing me and telling me the importance of this session for the attendees. So I'm glad to be on this session and sharing my knowledge, my experience of the ready-made garment industry. So let me quickly introduce myself. I am a graduate from National Institute of Fashion Technology, Chennai. I passed out in 2008, and I studied garment engineering or apparel production per se. So technically, I'm a garment engineer. And I got placed into Raymond in 2008, and I've been a part of Raymond since 2008 till 2020 December. And in Raymond, I started from product development and then eventually moved into the role of marketing, because that's something that I now, when I reflect back, I think it is something that always enticed me for some reason or the other. This function has always been, pulling me like a magnet. And 2020 was when the pandemic happened, and I got an opportunity through a friend who's a couple Batters, who's the founder of D-Hybrid. He wrote me in and said that, why don't you come and take care of my business development? So here I am with D-Hybrid. D-Hybrid is actually, we're preparing, it's a startup. We're working on a e-commerce model for men fashion grooming. And we're going to launch soon. We still have an application, but it's mostly in the form of content. What we're doing is we're planning to put content to commerce model in place, and you will soon get to know about it. But yeah, let's get into the session. So there are some ground rules, and I'm not gonna pursue this session in a very serious way, because the kind of person that I have learned a lot from a lot of mentors. I learned a lot from my managers, from my leaders. What I believe is there are learnings available in every nook and corner. You just need to look for it. I will not say that I've seen the best of the managers. I have seen both good and bad, but I've learned from both. I'll tell you how. From good managers, I've learned what to do, and from bad managers, I've learned what not to. So also, I'm gonna take this session in a very simple way, because what I've understood is this: the audience of the session is mostly students and some people from the industry. So the way I'll conduct this is I'll have everything in a very, presented in a very simplified way, so that, and citing with examples so that everyone can understand it. So, and just before we start, I would like to state that brand building is a process which is, which is something based on logics, something, if you have common sense, I think you would understand. You just need to have two things in place. One is you should always put a rationale in things. You should always ask questions, get answers, and have some basic terms in place so that you understand what a brand is, what a logo is, etc. You learn what these are. You don't really have to do them. See, there are in this world right now, we have people doing different jobs, which is why we have thousands of employees working in a particular company. If the owner could do everything, then why would you really need employees? There's a reason you have a sweeper. There's a reason you have an admin, an HR, a finance person, etc. Right? You can't build competencies on your own. If you have to create your own brand, if you have to create your own company, I think what you should know is basics of everything, and be able to give guidelines to your employees to achieve something and reach to a level. So let me progress from here. I'll just start from a very basic thing. And I'm sure you guys know what a brand is. You guys know what branding means. And I would say that, there are no scientific ways of explaining these nomenclatures. If you talk about law, there is AI that can replace lawyers and judges in future, possibly doctors as well. I don't think a marketer or a branding expert can be replaced because there's no science behind it. Yes, there is a little bit of science, but there's a lot of data that needs to go into create a science out of it. So, which is why I think branding is a creative process. And if you think you're not creative, I believe everyone is. So let's deep dive into it. So we'll firstly understand what a brand is. Now, when you look up in Google, right? And brand is something which originated from people putting stamps of their own logos on their cattle, on their livestock, with a burning hot rod, possibly on cows, on horses, on sheep. That was where the word brand originated, that you brand your livestock. So if your livestock would get lost and go into another city, town, village, you would know this cattle belongs to so-and-so person because there's a branding on it. Then, if you look at more definitions out there, brand is a type of a product manufactured by a particular company under a particular name. Yes, very simple. All of us know that. It's an intangible marketing or business concept that helps people identify a company, a product, or an individual. So there are two companies, A, B, which have two products, product A, product B. Now, how do they differentiate from each other? Through logos, through brand names, through packaging, etc. And which is where one of my favorite definitions of brand come in, and it's very simple to understand. A brand is a name, a trademark, or other symbols which distinguish a product or a manufacturer from others in the market. Pretty simple. Yeah. Now let's understand type of brands or type of brandings or type of visual appearances with which really one company differentiates from another. So what are brands basically made of or could be? A brand could be a name. A brand could be a sign or a logo or a term. A term could be a tagline or a punchline, a symbol, again, a logo, or a design, right? Now let's see some examples of it. So on the left-hand side, you see, these are some of the very famous brands, and I'm sure you've heard of them, you've seen them numerous times, because these brands have spent so much money on advertising that you've seen it, you've consumed them. There is Canon, Netflix, Amazon, Google. There is, on your right-hand side, you would see these logos. Now, I'm sure most of you are aware what these logos are. So the red logo is McDonald's. On the right-hand side, top right, you have Starbucks. Then you have Apple, you have Twitter, you have Nike, you have Pepsi, right? And then you have taglines. Taglines would say, just do it. I'm loving it. Life's good. Impossible is nothing. The taste of India. Now, let me spend some time here. Now, when you see all these brand logos, when you see all these fonts, what is unique about these? How are they different from each other? They're different in many levels, right? Netflix has a different font. Amazon has a different font. Google has a different font. Similarly, on the right-hand side, you'll see McDonald's using a red color, Starbucks using a green color, so on and so forth. Now here there is a science. There's a science of colors. on how do you receive colors. So most of the food brands would use red because it does something to your appetite for some reason. I don't know. But there are a lot of other things that these say. McDonald's, the way the font is, the M is written, it appeals to kids. Nike, in a way, that swoosh also says right. So you know in your mind that you're taking a right decision by buying that product. Similarly, Twitter. Why does a Twitter has a bird? Because a bird used to carry use its messenger in the past. That's why. Now, when you see these taglines, you've consumed them over and over again. Just do it is Nike. Impossible is nothing is Adidas. Both. What do? They're motivating a consumer. They're not saying that if you wear an Adidas, everything is possible. They're not saying that if you wear a Nike, you'll be able to do it. But they're providing that motivation by saying, just do it. At least try. And Adidas is saying impossible is nothing. So there is a answer, there is a motivation, there is some expression, there are feelings, there are emotions in these taglines. Now, the taste of India, who says that? Amul. Now, is there an agency that has declared that Amul provides the best of the taste? No, right? But Amul has taken that stance and said that, we are the best providers of the taste of the, we provide the best taste in the country. Now, when you read it as a consumer, it's actually going in your mind and you know that, Amul, India, best taste, this and that. So that is something they want you to register subliminally. Now, the best example left for the last is I'm loving it. That's McDonald's. Now, what does a bad marketing agency or a marketer do, or a branding person would do? So let's take an example, Mera Market, Mera Mart. So a bad agency would write Mera Mart, your favorite destination. Now, your favorite destination is something which is important here. Now, when someone reads it as a consumer, so let's say I am reading at a banner ad that Mera Mart, your favorite destination. When I read it, I'm saying your. Who is your here? But when I read McDonald's, I'm saying I'm loving it. And when I'm saying I'm loving it, my mind subliminally takes that message and tells me that you love McDonald's. I love McDonald's. And that's what McDonald's wants you to do. They want you to think that you're loving it. Taste comes later, product comes later. But when you see the message, you register that you're loving it. Now, as I said, all these things are very important when it comes to a brand or a brand logo, or a brand name, a font, a color, the shape, the size, what are its values. Another very good example in this slide is Amazon. Now, what does Amazon say? Notice the arrow below Amazon, right? What does that arrow indicate? The arrow goes from A to Z, which essentially means that they have everything under the sun on Amazon's platform. There is another interpretation of this arrow, which is it is normally also interpreted as a smiley. So there could be multiple interpretations, but yes, when these logos had been designed, these were designed in a way that it passes on a message and registers to the consumer, and also sometimes tell what does a brand stand for, right? Now let's talk about branding. We've read brand. What is branding? Let's see what Google says. Oh, it says the action of marking with a branding iron. Oh, the example that we read in the brand, that you put a hot iron rod on your cattle, on your horse, and that's called brand. That stamp is called brand. And the process of doing it is called branding. Nothing else. So let's read a few complex examples or complex definitions as well. The process of giving a meaning to specific organization, company, products, or services by creating and shaping a brand in consumers' mind. Yes, makes sense. A way of identifying your business, very simple. And the best, which I feel is pretty simple and straightforward, is the promotion of a particular product or a company by means of advertising and distinctive designs. What are the two things here? The first thing is your distinctive design, which is your brand logo. And second is your advertising, which is a process with which you are creating an awareness for your brand. Let's move forward. I want to talk about the kind of brands. Now, this is something which is not written in many books, but unless you are in the apparel industry or the fashion industry, you wouldn't really know. So there are two kinds of brands that exist in the RMG sector. One is like a normal massy brand, which could be, a Louis Philippe, Park Avenue, Biba, W, Peter England, Alan Solly, Arrow, etc. Right? These are massy brands, which can be economical, super premium, premium, luxury, etc. Now, there's a second kind of RMG brand. It's actually called a label. What's a label? A label is a kind of a brand which is started by an individual. Who is that individual? That individual could be a designer. Examples: Shantanu Nikhil, Abujani Sandeep Khosla, Ritu Kumar, Falguni and Shane Peacock. Now, how are they different from a normal brand? How are they different from a Park Avenue? The way they're different is when someone creates a label, it's their own name, the designer's name. So when a brand defines a TG and says that, this is my TG, this is my target audience, I will create a solution for these people. What a label does is, label doesn't keep its TG in mind. A designer will tell that this is my taste. So when I'm selling this to you, you are actually wearing me. So if you'd notice, a movie star or any influencer would actually say, I'm wearing an Apujani Sandeep star. So they pride in taking that. Why do they take a pride? Because it's super expensive. It's very super premium luxury segment. So when one of you try to take a creative call in future and you say that I want to establish a brand, then you have to take a call whether you're creating a mass brand or are you creating a label? Are you a designer enough to start designing something of your own? You may or may not. Now, this is a little serious subject, but I've designed an activity for make it very simple. I wish this was a physical session where you were sitting in front of me and I could, have anyone of you ask questions and we can debate upon subject, and that's how we learn from each other, right? But since it's not a physical session and also it's a recording, let me try and through this monologue tell you what this activity is. This is very verbose. Brand components are divided into 4. And now this is something which is not written in a Bible. This is something which I believe in, and a lot of other authors believe in. Not all authors would believe, not all marketers or brand specialists would believe, right? Now, when we discuss all these 4, what I would do is I would do something through which it becomes easier for you to understand. For instance, if I say brand identity, then you will have to identify the mission, establish unique value proposition, etc. But let's do one thing. Let's create a brand right now. Okay. And when we create that brand, along with that, we answer what these things may mean, right? Now, what I'm going to do is, and this is just a creative solution. As I told you, all of us are creative. Creativity just doesn't mean that you need to be artistic. Artist is different. Creativity is different. Okay. So I thought about this idea. I said that, if I was in your shoes and I had to create a brand, I need to think of something. So I came up with a solution. Now, just take this activity, this brand that we're creating with a pinch of salt. As I said earlier, that you as the owner of the brand really don't need to do it, all the jobs. But for the sake of this activity, I try to do all the jobs. I try to create a logo. I try to choose a font, etc. And I'm not the best person to do it. But what I'm good at it is create a brand strategy. So let's jump into it right away. So since this session is about ready-made garment sector, I've tried to create a brand, which is a ready-made garment. But what I've done is, you know about Park Avenue, Louis Philippe, the first brand type, right? To make it a little more complex, I've taken a decision that I will create a label. Now, what does that label mean? I have to use my own name. Okay. So just putting some ground rules in place, and so that it's easier for you to understand. But yes, I'm creating a brand of ready-made garments. Now, the first point of the brand components was brand identity. Okay. And the first point within brand identities, you need to identify a mission. Now, what is a mission? A mission is a reason of establishing a company or your company's goal. Now, my company's goal, the product that I'm making, the brand that I'm making here for this activity, is to create a sustainable brand offering for everyday wear and cause least amount of damage to the planet. So what it essentially means is, my product offering is sustainable. It's green, it's organic, it's nature friendly. It will not cause too much harm to the planet. Because I'm sure most of you would know, garment industry is the most pollutant creator industry in the world because of the usage of materials like polyester, etc., which are not biodegradable. So the brand that I'm creating is of a sustainable brand. Okay. What is my unique value proposition? What is a unique value proposition that sets you apart from the competitors? So my unique value proposition is of the brand that I'm creating is everyday wear unisex offering in natural fibers, providing longevity for 60 washes. Now you would say that obviously you have competitors. How does it make you set apart? There will be a lot of competitors out there who would sell everyday wear unisex offering in natural fibers. How am I different? So I'm being very specific there, that the product that I'm offering is not just of natural fibers, not just unisex. What does unisex mean? It can be worn by any of the genders. It can be worn by a male, female, female, etc. Okay, but I'm being specific, saying that it will last for at least 60 washes. Now, someone who is not from the fashion industry would say 60 washes is too less, but no. Since I'm from the fashion industry, I can tell you that the shirt that you buy for 2,500 rupees from a Louis Philippe or Park Avenue is not supposed to last for more than 20-25 washes. And I'm not saying that after 25 washes, the shirt will be torn. It will actually fade away. Its quality will, deteriorate much. So what I'm doing is, against those 20-25 washes of industry standard, I'm offering 60 washes. So that's my unique value proposition. Now we have to create a visual identity, which is a brand name, logo, color palette, etc. So just for the sake of this activity, I've called this brand PA1. Now, what does PA1 mean? So I, in the beginning of this activity, said that we're creating a label. Okay, what does a label do? Label uses the designer's name. Now, I want to use my name, but at the same time, my name is not of a French origin or an English origin, unlike most of the fashion brands, right? So it'll be easier for you to read Park Avenue or read Arrow or read Allen Solly. But I want to take this brand to a global audience. Now, would a global audience be able to read Pawan, P-A-W-A-N? If you want to try it, open Google Translate and put my name, spelling of my name there, and it will not read what we are saying. because it's a Hindi name eventually, right? So I came up with this solution. I wrote PA1, and if you put it on Google Translate, it'll read it as Pawan. So it's not the best or the best creative way, but for the sake of this activity, please take it with a pinch of salt. So a global audience would actually read it correct, the way my name is pronounced. Now the next to it in the green is the brand logo. That again, I'm not a creative person, but for the sake of this presentation, I created this logo. Now, what does this logo mean? How, have I randomly chosen this W? No. This logo has all the alphabets of my name. It has a P, it has a A, it has W, A, and everything. You would be try and find P in this, and you won't be able to do that, but it's there. And that's something for you to figure out. The last point in the brand identity is increase brand recognition. So how do you do that? You do it by marketing efforts, by reaching to the right audience. Now, what does reaching to the right audience mean? So you need to really define what your audience is, right? Then only you will do the marketing efforts to reach. So here I've tried to put a TG, not TG, target audience. Is the target audience is unisex, age 16 plus. Now you'd say target audience, so you define between some two age groups, right? Like 16 to 24, 16 to 30. But why have I written age 16 plus? Because since I'm selling it for the younger customer, but at the same time, I do not want to constrain it to an age. I want to constrain it to a younger mindset. So my granny who's 71 years old can also wear it. Okay. Now you would ask, why are you then putting an age out there? Why can't a 14-year-old wear it, right? They can wear it. But the sizes that I'm providing are for 16 plus in terms of length. So this target audience is college going, urban. The marketing efforts that I'll put will be in places like Instagram, YouTube, with influencers, on my own website, on e-commerce giants like Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, and I would go to college festivals, etc., where the target audience is. Yes. Let's go to the next brand component, which is brand image. Now, what is brand image? What did we see here? Brand identity. So brand identity is something that we are creating for our user. Brand image is something that your users understand, your users' interpretation of the brand. Now, how do you create that interpretation, or how do you enable that? So one is spread your message via PR. What is PR? Public relations. Do you do that on your own? No, you have agencies out there who do that job for you. So you use PR to spread your key messages through news outlets, trade publications, and even online blogs. Now, what do we do in case of PA1, okay, for this brand? So I would go with stories with editors. I would do stories with editors, writers, influencers who are already talking about global warming, who are already talking about sustainable products. So I would go to them and say that, hey, you're already doing a global warming story. You're already doing a product story on sustainable products. Why don't you include two-liners about PA1? And they normally be very happy to acknowledge, because they want their product to be, their writing to be out there. And if I want to do an exclusive story on PA1, yes, we can do that as well. Sometimes you just need to gift them a media kit, which is nothing but a bunch of accessories, etc. You give them your free product, and they'll do it happily for you. Second is establish a social presence. Now, it can be done by sharing your content, latest news on product launches, engagement on personal level, etc. Now, how would I do it for PA1? There are a few ideas that I've mentioned, that I would launch a new unisex hoodies with seed paper packaging. Now, what is this seed paper packaging? Now, since I'm talking about sustainable offerings, so I'm talking about natural fibers. Now what I'm going to do is the packaging that I will design. What is the packaging that goes with, let's say, hoodies? Okay. With hoodies, I would have a paper bag. I would have a brand tag. Now, what do you do with those tags when you wear a cloth? You don't carry those tags around, right? You cut them and throw them in the dustbin. But we are trying here to reduce the landfills, etc. Right? We don't want to throw things which are not biodegradable. So what we're doing here, the brand tag is made of seed paper. What is that? It's a paper which you can put inside a pot and put some sand on top of it, and there will be a new plant coming out of it. So it's a marketing gimmick, but at the same time, we are trying to do something for the environment. Not using a regular paper, not using a plastic paper, etc. The second activity that I would do for Pawan is I would, on Earth Day, create a green anthem. It's a marketing gimmick. I would create a green anthem, have a singer come in, have a lyricist come in, have a choreographer come in, and arrange a few dance steps, teach them to a few influencers on social media, and let them dance on it. And that's how make it viral. And wearing Pawan hoodies, yeah. The next in line is create high quality content. Now, I came up with a suggestion for Pawan is that, I will do a CSR activity where I will declare a profit of Pawan going in planting trees. And now you'd say there are a lot of people who promise to plant trees, and what happens after that? Now, what I would promise is I would not just plant those trees, I will also maintain those trees. I will go to a next level. Now, what do these things do? These things just increase your credibility in the market, that there is someone who's doing something constructive. They're not just selling products, they're doing something for the society. They're doing something to make a change. And that's how you differentiate from other brands, because you're creating your own brand imagery, right? Now we've spoken about brand image, we've spoken about brand identity. Let's go to the third subject, which is brand culture. Now, what is culture? Culture is something that you follow in day out, and you maintain it. What do you do it for? Because a culture is something that you're known for. For example, we say South India has a different culture, North India has a different culture. Similarly, corporates also have cultures, right? Now, let's get into each of these pointers one by one. One is you need to define that culture. That what are your values? What are how your company lives out those values? So now what we're doing is we're not just creating culture through a product. We're creating a culture within the company for the employees, right? So what I'm doing for Pawan is I'm setting two kind of cultural things or cultural activities. One is I'm saying that my brand or my company will have gender equality. Okay. And we'll discuss that in detail a little later. Everyone knows about gender equality, but I have a different interpretation for the same for Pawan. Second is I will prepare eco warriors. I will discuss that as well. Second is spread awareness of your campaigns. So let consumers know what are those cultural values that you are following for your brand. Okay. So these cultural values, what I will do is I will declare them on my brand website, on social media, or through PR stories, or possibly by collaborating with a TV show, telling them, you visit my organization and you see these cultural pillars. And why are we doing this again? Because we want to put a brand out there through as many means as possible. Now, the third point where I'm going to detail out what do I mean by gender equality and prepare eco warriors is that you ensure that your company reflects your values. Now, what do we do that? Why? So we are declaring somewhere that we will follow this culture. But how are we really doing it? We need to do it by maintaining some regime, etc. So what will I do for Pawan? So when I say about gender equality, I am saying that our understanding of gender equality in corporates is actually, we should give same number of seats to women, or have at least 30% of women sitting on the top leadership, this and that. We should open doors for women. We should pull a chair, part of etiquettes, etc. But I'm saying something different here. I'm saying if the genders are equal, they should really be equal. I'm not asking a man to pull a chair for a woman employee or for a woman colleague. I'm not asking him to open the door for her. They both can go to gym. They both can be strong. They do their work for themselves. I am not saying that it's against the etiquette. What I'm trying to say is by doing this, you're actually giving this woman more respect because she can do her own jobs. She doesn't need an extra, gesture of kindness to establish that she's acceptable. No, I am talking about gender equality where both these guys are equal. And I'm also talking about equal number of positions. I'm not saying there will be 30% women and 70% men. I'm saying 50-50, flat 50-50. My commitment for Pawan. That's my brand value. Then when I'm talking about eco warriors, what am I saying? I'm saying I will get my employees trained to follow eco-friendly solutions in their day-to-day lives when they go back home or in their office. They cannot drink water in a thermocol or a plastic cup. They have to bring their own glasses from home, or I will give them glasses. They can only drink water in those. I will tell them how to prepare compost, how to reduce their waste, this and that. And for doing all those things, I will put incentives in place. I'm not forcing them to do it, but it's a lifestyle change that I will help them provide. So that's the kind of brand culture that I will establish for Pawan and declare it out there so that I can leverage on those. Now, the last point is brand personality. Again, we spoke about our audience, but I'm going to talk in detail about who our audience is for Pawan. Okay. We said it'll be unisex, age 16 plus, college going urban. We discussed that in the 3 slides before, but I'm detailing it out further. That this target audience will need to understand English, follow global trends, working for a better future of the planet. Now, why am I saying this audience or personality needs to understand English? Because English is a global language. My brand will, so when you detail brand personality, detail a brand guideline, you also detail what are the languages that you will use in your ads, in your flyers, in your books, in your banners, and everything. Now, there are brands who would do vernacular, they would do Malayalam ad, they would do English ad, Hindi ad, every ad. But I am a brand who's going on a global platform. I am taking a decision that I will only use English. Even if I go to France, even if I go to any other country, I will only place my ads in English, no regional language. And this brand personality also needs to work for a better future. Now, I am not saying that my customer needs to do all these things, then only he or she can buy my product. No, that is your actual audience. What this is your expectation or your brand personality that you're putting out there. What does this do? This helps you define a tonality for the brand. That when I'm creating an ad, I need to keep this person in mind, that I'm designing it for someone who does this. Getting my point? And then you need to find ways of engaging with your audience. Now, what do we mean by engagement? So when someone, let's say, writes a message on Twitter or on Facebook, and I as a brand, as Pawan, will respond to each of these queries. I will put a person out there from the agency who will respond to all these questions. But the agency guy can, answer back in his own way. He can be very serious, he can be very funny, or not at all, or probably he may not respond at all. So I will put guidelines in place. That my brand tonality is a little funny. It's a little quirky. So when you reply to some customer or to a user on Instagram or Facebook, you need to add some quirk to it, add some fun to it. The best example out there is you go to Zomato's Instagram channel and you would know the kind of quirky communication that they do. Now, why am I doing a quirky communication? Because I'm talking to a 16+ customer, someone who's very young, and my brand is talking to a global audience. I need to keep some fun out there and at the same time not be very funny, that I'm not taken seriously. I want to be a part of this community. I want to tell them that I am as young as you. My mindset is as young as you. So that will be my way of engaging with my audience. Now, the last point here in the brand personality is be consistent in your tone. What does that mean? That if you're putting out a communication on social media, newspaper, TV, flyer, events, product tags, labels, anywhere, you need to talk the same tonality. If you're being funny on social media, you cannot be very serious in a newspaper ad, because then you're actually talking like two different personalities. You need to be one consistent personality wherever you go. Now, a best example would be that, we as people, we have different personalities in front of friends, we have different personalities in front of family, and then in office. But what I'm saying is, if you want to be consistent, if you want to be known as a person, as a personality, you need to follow one common tonality. Yeah. Quickly jumping to the ready-made garment. So that's all about my brand, Pawan. Okay. Now I'm trying to give you some perspective over here in the kind of market cycle that India follows, so that if someone in future wants to take a call that they want to open their own brand, what are the things that they need to take care of? So I'm just trying to put a market cycle out there. What I've done here is I've put some seasons or collections, or I've put also some key indicators from January to December, which play a crucial role in let's say bringing revenue to you as a brand, right? So let me just quickly put it out there. So the way to read this is from left to right, you have months from January to December. From top to bottom, you have different particulars, and I will talk about each in detail. So spring, summer, and autumn, winter. Now these two are actually the seasons or the collections that every brand follows in the ready-made garment industry. What is a spring summer collection? Something which is introduced normally. I'm not saying this is fixed. Normally between, let's say, January end till June or July mid. Then you have autumn winter coming in from, let's say, mid-August till December or till mid-Jan. Now, what happens in the gap of January, in the gap of July, August, and December? That's where the sale period happens. So if you would have noticed on 15th August, you would always see a sale, a flat 50 sale. On 26th January also, you will always see sales. So these are the sale periods which the entire industry follows. So let's say your collection, autumn winter collection, will be launched in August. You will normally sell everything at fresh or 100% price, MRP. Then by the as season goes by, from November and December, you will start offering discounts to the customer, so that you finish your stock by the time you actually have to go to sale. Because you go to sales, your bottom lines will get hit, right? So you try and sell as much as in full price in the months of August, September, October, November, etc. Now, there is a festive season which I've highlighted in yellow, which normally begins in end of September, goes until December. Now you will say there are other festivals also happen that happen through the year. There is Lodi, Makar Sankranti, Holi, etc. But those are the festivals where you do not normally see buying happening, ready-made garments buying happening at a national level. When does that happen at a national level? Between Onam, Diwali, Durga Puja, Christmas, Eid. All this happens from, let's say, end of August or end of September till December. So let's say you will have Kerala mostly doing their purchases in ready-made garments in during Onam, Eid playing a crucial role there, and then you will have obviously North buying in during Diwali. Similarly, your West buying in during Durga Puja, East buying during Durga Puja, then Goa, Mumbai during Christmas, New Year, most of the people because end of season sales, etc. began. Then you have one major big cycle where most of the, I think I would say 70 to 80% of the garment industry depends upon, which is the wedding season. Now, wedding season doesn't have any fixed dates. Now, this keeps on changing every year. There are good dates and there are not so good dates. And obviously, if you want to refer them as a marketer, as a brand specialist, or as a company or a brand owner, all you need to do is go to Google, go to Drik Panchang and other such websites, which will give you dates which are available for the wedding. Now, these dates are always referred by key distributors, key brands who sell their products for the wedding, such as formals, such as suits, jackets, shirts, footwear, and all those things. So this happens normally during January, April, May, and again after Diwali, there is a long period in which weddings, etc. happen. So these are the key primary indicators, primary market cycle which is followed. Now there could be other also regional festivals, but these are the key events which play a crucial role in the ready-made garment cycle. Now that was all from my side, and I think I tried to do justice in this session, but I don't want this engagement to end here. In case anyone has any queries, etc., after the session, please feel free to reach back to me. You can take my email ID from the professors you're in touch with, and be more than happy to reply back to your queries, if any. There are some questions which have come to me yesterday. I'll try and address these questions to the best of my ability. So let's look into question 1. So the first question is how to know the trend on the basis of cultural aspects. I think we covered this in the market cycle that we were talking about. So cultural aspects such as there is Durga Puja in East, there is Diwali in North, there is Onam in Kerala, there are other festivals. And accordingly, the trends vary from one part of the country to another. So for instance, in Gujarati, Durga Puja again is a very strong festival, and the key purchase decisions are done in those months. So this is one, and obviously there could be other cultural aspects such as there could be Valentine's Day, something happening then. There could be other indicators. You just need to look out for them and develop your own ways of analyzing trends. But I think I've covered most of the massy trends out there. Second is, are online shopping portals diluting brands by selling at discounted price? One word answer, yes. And I believe this in very much. And I would give you a very simple example of my previous job. I was working with Park Avenue. Assume Park Avenue was selling a shirt at an average 2,400 rupees. Okay. We would sell that autumn winter shirt between August till December at an average 2,400 rupees. But the products which were not sold will be put out on sale at flat 40 or flat 50 off, which would mean that I would actually be selling the same balance pieces of those shirts at 1,200 rupees till January end, which is the end of season sale. Now, something that doesn't get sold then also can actually go to my factory outlet and lie there for another 6 months. And if it is not sold there as well, then it is picked by e-commerce giants like Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, etc. Sorry, just give me 1 second. Those are picked by these e-commerce giants. And so now imagine it from a brand's perspective. Something that wasn't sold for almost 9 to 12 odd months, it's actually costing me more just to maintain inventory for the same. So what I'm going to do is I want to liquidate it. So I might as well sell it to Amazon or Flipkart. Now they'll buy at a very cheaper price. Now something that I originally sold at 2,400 rupees, then in end of season sale at 1,200 rupees, they would actually be selling the same shirt for 500 rupees and still be earning revenue out of it. Now for a brand, if you think you're actually, your inventory is almost over. You're not paying for the inventory of those products which are old. But at the same time, think it from a customer's perspective. A customer who's come to Amazon, bought a shirt for 500 rupees. Now the same shirt is also available at 2,400 rupees in the next season. You would actually not go to Park Avenue and buy that 2,400 shirt at all in future. Because now you're used to buying Park Avenue for 500-600 rupees. Now you made your mind that Park Avenue is a very cheap brand. I may or may not shop for this brand in future for a better occasion. However, that's not the case. It's a premium offering. But yes, thanks to these shopping portals, they've diluted your brand. And is there anything that a brand can do about it? Both yes or no. No, in a case where you want to continue with this cycle. Yes. So there are some brands like Nike, for that matter, who have taken a decision globally that they will keep reducing their merchandise on such portals. Single reason being, when you search for a Nike product on Amazon, the first product that you see is actually not a Nike shoe. It is a shoe which is paid for that position to be shown on the top. So it could be an ASICS shoe or an Adidas shoe. So what's Nike is saying is that my product is listed on your portal, which is a shop. A customer is asking for it, you show it to him. But why are you showing him another product? It's not fair. So which is why they're slowly pulling out from that portal and creating their own vertical, their own website stronger. There are other brands out there such as Gucci, Louis Vuitton, etc. Now, obviously, those products or those brands are not available on Amazon. But to just give you a perspective, those brands, some of those brands, never go on sale. Just because of a reason, if they go on sale, the brand will get diluted, the brand value will get diluted. They actually burn those products or damage those products. They are so conscious about their brand value. So now this is something that you need to decide for your own brand. What do you want to do? Do you want to let it dilute the value or not? But then most of the Indian brands are now stuck in this cycle. Coming to the next question, in this challenging situation, how to build a brand with efficient inventory management? Now, I'm honestly not a subject matter expert in inventory management, but the way I understand this question is coming from is how do you really, as your own brand, manage inventory efficiently, right? Now, it's not a challenging situation at all. There are no situations that are challenging at this day, because there are so many solutions that have come out there. If you're thinking of managing inventory on your own, then it is a challenging situation. Why am I saying this? Is there are multiple people out there, there are multiple vendors out there who are selling you or renting you the service for a small commission. Now, a small example, like buying a house or renting a house. Which one is easier to do? Buying a house is a capital-intensive exercise. Renting a house is not. So, if you can rent out an inventory management service to an expert, why do you want to create your own? I think that's the point that you were trying to ask, and I have provided a solution or an answer basis that. But if it's a different sort of a question, then I'm more than happy to hear you out again. Moving to the next question. Is there any green sustainable supply chain mechanism in the RMG sector in Indian fashion industry? In my knowledge, no. So what I know so far is, in case of supply chain of sustainable brands in the RMG Indian industry, there are a lot of brands which have come out with such offering. Also, it will become a highly competitive market in future. It is currently not. Whereas the demand of this market will also become very strong. Is there an organized supply chain mechanism right now? I don't think so. Should there be? Yes. Should government do something about it? Yes. Will there be one in future? I don't know. But yes, this sustainable as a category in Indian fashion industry is growing, and I think it should grow for the betterment of the climate or for the planet. Question 5, how to build brand. I think I've answered that during the entire session. So if there are any further questions on the subject, please feel free to respond. I think this is the last question. Who is the main customer of RMG in India, local or international? So it's actually the same case in all the markets, be it Indian, local or international. I'll just try to give you an example. Firstly, of the brand that I created in this exercise, Pavan, PA1. Okay. In my case, for my brand, the customer and the consumer would be the same, because I am a D2C brand, direct to customer. I am selling it online only. I will not have my own stores at all. I will not have offline stores, because that's a capital intensive exercise. I want to earn margins which are okay to me by selling my products online. And that's how I will price these products as. Another reason that I'm creating a sustainable brand is because I can charge a premium on that. If a normal shirt would cost me, let's say, from a normal cotton shirt or a polyester shirt, if I'd be able to earn a margin of 20%, for a sustainable product, I can actually charge a premium of 30 to 40% margin also. That's how I will do a pricing if required. Now, in my case, the customer and the consumer are the same. Okay. But normally for the rest of the brands in the country, there are multiple customers. So for a brand like Raymond or Park Avenue, the customer is the distributor. For the distributor, the customer is the retailer. For the retailer, customer and consumer are the same. Okay. Are you clear with the explanation? I'll say this once more. Park Avenue, brand, or the company, Raymond Company. For them, the customer is the distributor. For the distributor, the customer is the retailer. For the retailer, the customer and the consumers are the same. All right. So that's it from my side. Thank you so much for having me here. As I said before, feel free to ask any questions if there are. I'll try and attend for 5-10 minutes after this, and I will come live with you guys. Sorry, I will be out, so kindly bear with me. But if there are any more questions, happy to address.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. First of all, I welcome Pawan sir in Management Development Program. Yes, sir has joined the session now. And thank you, sir, for your wonderful session. Actually, due to urgent traveling, we have heard the recorded session of Pawan sir. But sir explained all points very deeply in this session. And brand building is one of the burning issues in ready-made garment sector. So now this session is open for question answer.
I would like to point out that Mr. Pavan Tukral is already live with us. So first thing I should say, thank you, Pavan. Yeah. Hello. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you for having me here. I believe all of went through the video, and I hope it was a constructive session for all the attendees. I tried and explained it in the best possible way through citing real life examples. And if any one of you has a question on any of the subjects that were discussed in the video recording, more than happy to address any of those queries.
I have only a query share with you, and a question also you can say, because you are now in Delhi, and
Yes.
there was a brand in Delhi called as Chirag Din.
Yes. Yes.
Shortly CD. What is the current status of that? They had lot of things what you had explained in your brand building exercise. Chirag Din.
Correct. So, Professor or Dr. Rakshit, I may not be aware of the current status as of now as a brand, but so far, what I know of that particular brand is that it was offering a super premium range and were charging higher margins on their product, because that's the kind of brand building that they did with Chirag Din, right? And the kind of advertisements that they did, the kind of brand positioning that they did was of a premium brand. And that was my understanding or my perception of the brand as a consumer. So when I looked at a Chirag Din ad or a Chirag Din print ad I remember it seeing in airline magazines, etc. So that's where they were actually positioning their customers, because their customers must be some frequent flyers, etc., who would have visibility to those magazines. So which is exactly the point, is that when you understand your customer, you reach to that customer at those places where that customer is. So for Chirag Din, it's a premium customer, and the premium customer is actually a frequent flyer possibly, and is reading those magazines day in, day out, and that's where you get exposed as a brand.
Very nice. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yes, any other question?
Yes, any other questions from participant? We have received some questions in chat box also. One of the question is, what are the legal concept and models we should apply for brand management? Asked by Shivani Soni.
For brand management, I really don't have an answer to that. But see, there are some legalities that happen when you're creating a brand. So you need to get your brand logos, your brand names, brand collections, everything trademarked and copyrighted, right? Because if you create a logo, so for example, I attempted to create a logo in my PPT. Now, copyright is something that you do not really need to go out there and apply for. You've created a document and I have published it out there. If you see the bottom left screen of the presentation, already there was a footmark logo of my name, right? Now that itself is more than sufficient for me to claim any copyright infringement in future. But does that prevent me from trademark infringement? No. For trademark registration, we'll have to go to the trademark offices and get a trademark, because in future, someone can come up and create another brand name and will call it PA2 instead of PA1. Now, I may go to the registrar or the trademark office and say that this is an infringement of my trademark, because it is very similar to my brand name or my brand logo. So you need to get those in place. Now that can be, there are various trademarks that happen. So for instance, when I apply for this trademark, I have to declare that I will be offering services with respect to ready-made garments. Within those ready-made garments, these will be my offerings. And I can also declare that in future, let's say, hypothetically saying that I will also create a electronic car. So this is my 10-year future plan, but I'm declaring it right now because I want to claim all the rights. That someone can not use my brand name in future. So yes, that's my response to the question.
Thank you, sir. There is another question from Ajit Kumar Sahu. How to manage or maintain brand?
Okay, so it's a very wide question, but what I feel is to manage a brand, obviously you need a team, you need experts in your team to do that. So one of the ways is if you do not have the expertise, if you do not have a team, you hire an agency to do that job for you. And that agency manages all those aspects. So there are mainline communication agencies such as, McCann or such as JWT, Wunderman Thompson, etc. These agencies work on a monthly retainer basis with you, and they do all these management services for you. So as I mentioned in my recording as well, that you as a brand owner may not need to do each and every possible job, which is why you hire employees, which is why you hire agencies. So I think it's best that you have acquire knowledge of all the subjects, but depute people to do those jobs for you. Depute leaders, depute experts.
Thank you, sir. Rashmi Shah sir asked one question here. How much is the cost component in building brand?
So again, a very subjective question. So let me add a simple perspective here. So Oyo, I'm sure everyone knows about Oyo brand, right? Oyo, when it was launched by a youngster. So in their first advertising ATL activity, above the line activity, they spent more than 1,000 crores across the country. And that's how they could, at one shot, create the awareness of that brand and say that, yes, we have introduced this brand with a bang. We are out there in the market. We are trying to make a change here. Now, if you have the monies, you can do it. If you don't have the monies, you start slow. How do you start slow? So, for instance, you've created a brand. You do not do a pan-India activity because you do not have the funds. So you will say that I will, so let's say my budget is 2 lakh rupees. I will say I will start with establishing my brand, let's say only in Nashik. I will capture the Nashik market. When I have more funds, I will expand to Mumbai. If I have more funds, then I will expand to Delhi and other cities, etc. And if, let's say, if an investor comes in and tells you that I trust your brand, here you are with 1,000 crores, spend all you can, then you can spend that money. So it's a very subjective question. It depends upon the overall marketing budget that you have. Normally, for an established brand, the marketing budgets are 3 to 4% of the overall revenue projection. For a startup or a new brand who wants to get established in the market, the marketing budget's proportion to the overall revenue can go as high as 30 to 40% also. I hope that answers the query.
Sir, actually, we have received one more question in chat box.
Yes,
asked by Shivani Soni. How can I avoid frauds if someone copied my logo to spoil my brand image?
So, as I mentioned before, if you have your logos registered via trademark, etc., you can you can prevent your brand from any frauds, etc. So, what you really need to do is you need to have a lawyer in place. Should that lawyer give you proofs and file a litigation or file an trademark infringement and send a notice to that particular brand. So your lawyers can actually help you out in that. They understand the process. They do it day in, day out. So you have to send a notice to that party who is doing this fraud. If they respond to your query, and remove those fraudulent products from the market, then it's fine. But you can still, sue them and ask for damages in return. So it's pretty simple and straightforward. But obviously, you will need to pay a lawyer. You will need to have those legal fees, etc., in place.
Thank you, sir. One more question is here. In the e-commerce, how much percentage we should spend on packaging of the product for brand building?
So there are two kinds of packaging. One packaging is what you put on your product as papers, paper bags, or tags or labels. So that's one kind of packaging. The second kind of packaging that you're talking with respect to e-commerce is the packaging box in which your product goes to the customer. So if it's that packaging, then I would say at a mass level, you shouldn't be spending more than 15-20 rupees on the outer packaging. If you're talking about the internal packaging, sky is the limit. But then again, you decide basis. So let's say if your product is costing you 200 rupees to manufacture, you can spend 15 to 20 rupees on that. And MRP is normally a multiple. Product is costing you 300 rupees with packaging, you can easily sell it for 1500 onwards. That is a basic multiplier that we follow in the garment industry.
Okay, sir. One of our expert speaker, Dharmen Mehta, sir, asked the question, what is the cost of branding for a mid-value?
Sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
Question is, what is the cost of branding for a mid-value?
I think it is a mid-value segment product. He want to mean. Dharmen, if you are there on the line, can you please directly speak out? Hello, Dharmen.
Yes, I'm sorry. I actually couldn't hear the question because the connection was a little patchy. What was the question again? Sorry.
Just a minute, sir.
No problem.
The question is, what is the cost of branding for a mid-value?
For a need value?
Yes.
What's a need value? I don't really understand the question.
What I understand, Madam, we can connect each through the email and let them clarify the answers.
Okay, sir.
Yes, yes. I mean, feel free to send me all the questions and I'm more than happy to respond via video or audio or via text as well. However is comfortable for all the participants. But I hope it was a fruitful session and there are some takeaways that the audiences can take from this session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It was really a very wonderful and informative session.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you for having me here. It was great to meet you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much once again. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Now we are having last session for today's management development program, and this last session is on the topic of apparel quality control standards and procedures. Actually the speaker for this session is Mr. Naveen Mishra, sir, Quality Manager, Creative Garments, Daman, but due to some problem, he is unable to join with us. So, our faculty members, Professor Tushar Patil, sir, will present this session on the topic of apparel quality control standards and procedures. And before going to start this session, in today's management development program, I would like to welcome and introduce Mr. Tushar Patil, sir. Tushar Patil, sir, is working as an assistant professor in Center for Textile Functions, NMIMS Shirpur University, NMIMS Shirpur campus. Sir is graduated in textile engineering from Amrati University, and sir is having 6 years of industry experience and 12 years of academic experience. Now, I would like to call Tushar Patil, sir, for expert session on the topic of apparel quality control standards and procedures. Please, sir.
Thank you so much, madam, for this brief introduction. This is just for due to the having a technical problem and having an issue from the Mishra sir. By the permission of our Associate Dean Dr. Arup Rakshit sir and the organizer of the MDP, Professor Pranjali Chandurka ma'am, I have taken this opportunity to present the topic on the quality assurance and quality control in the apparel or RMG sector. Actually, this is the PPTs which the PowerPoint presentations as prepared by the Mishra sir. So this is what not only about the giving an information about the quality standards and the quality procedures to be followed by the for the garment industry, but this is the chance and opportunity for myself to interact and to get an in-depth knowledge about the RMG sector, whereas we have an imminent presentations and we are having the eminent personalities like Dr. Rashmi Shah sir. Sir has been involved and in contact with the CTF right from its initial setup. So not by taking a much more time, in a morning session we got a brief knowledge about the supply chain configuration in the RMG sector, whereas wherein the Srinidhi sir briefed about whatever the existing situations required and whatever the steps are required to be taken to sustain into the international market, where we are as an India, as in a country, where we need to look forward for. Then in a production merchandising, what are the steps to be followed? This has been described by the Shri Mohite sir from Alok Industries Limited. And in the third session, Dharmen Mehta sir described about the inventory management of the clothing industry. And at the previous session, which has been described by the Chakral sir, it's about the brand building. And I think at last, by combining all these four main topics, by combining all these the four titles, it's a responsibility at the end that how we need to be the manufacturer should be stand as a trust as a brand. By it should be followed by some process or SOPs while achieving the targets of the production, or we may say when fulfilling in short, other words, if we'll say in fulfilling the quality standards is a responsibility itself which lies into the shop floor. So by the permission of the organizers, shall I share the PPTs of which are being prepared by Mishra sir, ma'am? Shall we begin?
Yes, sir, definitely.
Yeah, thank you. Just give me a minute.
Sir, your mic is on mute condition.
My slides are visible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it's been about now the another side. Suppose I have chosen my brand. Suppose I'm going to purchase the shirt from the reputed brand. Just taken an example of the Park Avenue or Raymond's, what we have the briefed by the Chakral sir. Now, as a customer, what is another first thing will be come in my mind? That yes, this brand or the product of this brand will fulfill all the properties, all the requirements what I require as a customer. Means quality is not only it's about that specific garment or specific that shirt or t-shirt is manufactured from, but it is just been connected with the customer throughout the long period, because that quality is being continuously followed by the respective brand. Now, how it is been achieved? It's not been achieved in a single day, or we may say in a single in a month. It's in a practice that is being followed by the specific industry while creating that, while manufacturing that the garment or specific what we say the product. So that quality, in short, it should be in a habit. Quality that points one, or not only the one, but the whole organization should be followed and should be adopted as a habit. So quality, in short, if we say The quality means the customer needs and it is to be satisfied, or failure to maintain an adequate quality standard can therefore be unsuccessful. So as a part of trust, as a part of the brand, the quality is being continuously to be required to be followed. In garment industry particularly, if we'll go for the quality standards and the quality assurance steps, so the various properties, or we may say the physical properties and the another comfort properties of the garments are lies in between. So in short, it's not about the technical aspects of the garment. It's, as a customer point of view, will think it's about the fitness of that specific garment, aesthetic values, then its functionality, then again the comfort and durability, its uniqueness, acceptance to the customer. All these words are revolving around the quality, the word, or we may say the quality aspect. Now, uh, basically, yes, in the industry we have the SOPs, and that SOPs are being continuously followed by the organization, by the industries. But somehow we should have that the specific guidelines, or that is being followed for the customers, or if we'll say the quality what we are following, or the expectations for export product, or the type of customer basically what we are manufacturing or what we are supplying for, the products what we are supplying for. So for the export materials, for the export customers, and the segment which we are supplying to the domestic market, the specific quality standard should be followed, and that SOP has been already what the it has been practiced in the industry, RMG sector especially. Then moving forward with this one, while establishing the quality requirements, if we'll go why the quality has been getting fluctuated during manufacturing, the first stage when the fabric has been resourced, and the fabric, it's been about knitted, or we may say for the woven fabric. So right from the beginning, if the all SOPs are being followed properly and strictly, and the checkpoint should be if we'll introduced in between the process, so yes, it's definitely gives the quality product and the quality results at the end. Means here the first step for quality control is to understand, establish, and accept the customer's quality requirements, and this involves the following steps. Basically, getting the customer's satisfaction regarding the quality, then referring our past performance. Say for example, a quality a knitted t-shirt will go for a specific style of a garment. If we have a past experience, means if this much amount of the pieces are been rejected, this much amount of that the DHO has been what we have got in the previous styles. So that data collection, that is been we are having the norms, or we may having an experience, or we may have a reference line to get the better performance for the upcoming styles. Then discussing with the quality control department, means the communication, the perfect communication, the right communication, smooth communication in between the departments is been required. So for example, if during manufacturing process, if in a stitching line there is the one style has been supposed been stick in production line, so wherever in which checkpoints, if the standards are being checked, so at that time it is being communicated with the QC department, so whether the corrective measures are required to be taken for it or not. Then giving the feedback to the customers, whatever the in between the what we are achieving, the aspects that has been regularly been communicated to the production department. But again, it's been important to get the receiving the revised quality requirements from the customers. Then accepting the quality parameters. So these are been the steps are required to be followed, or that we are for which we are will get the quality aspect in between the process. Then from quality control to quality assurance, if we talk about the quality assurance, means this much amount, or we may say what we have set in a target that this much amount of the quality aspect we need to achieve. And right from beginning, if we'll follow it, so the first step to get a quality assurance for the specific product, we should have the perfect planning. So it's not about that the material is been taken in a process and then we are following the quality standards. No, the first step we need to follow is in a planning. And in planning, basically, then what are the certain, we may say, the sub points are been light, that the SOPs, then resources what we have, then the testing and inspection, and then training. So if we look after for this one in quality assurance, as we have planned for the specific the steps what we are going to take, then the first one, the first point, that is about the testing and inspection of what are the instruments we are having to check the quality aspect, or to test the specific aspects of the fabric or garment at the respective step. Then the another important point, the second, we may say that the second important point for quality assurance is controls. Means when it is been executed, when it is been followed, so during the process, that all the key points, or we may say that the aspects, for example, the standard pattern which it has been required to follow, then we may say the another point, that is the machine conditions it has been required to check during the process, means controls, and it has been followed, or it has been adopted during the process. Then moving forward directly to the steps, or we may say uh, the departments of the garment manufacturing, and where that window should be given when there might be the chances that the defect may occur. In other words, if we'll follow when the quality will degrades, means quality degrade hone ki chances kab aate hain? When the defect, there might be chances to generate the defect. Means if we'll avoid the generation of defects, or if we'll clearly or strictly follow the measures which leads to avoid the defect generation, and that will be the key point to achieve the quality of our product. There are three basic factors, as in we'll go for this if any segment of the textile industry, we may say the spinning, weaving, then processing, and the garmenting. The three factors are playing their vital role, and each factor is having its impact during the process, and again having an impact on the quality of the product. And these three factors are three M's, that is man, machine, and material. At each segment, the operator skills, then raw material quality, and then machinery aspects. These three aspects will give us the maximum output as in a production, or as the higher aspects which are required for the quality control. Then in basically, if we go for to look for the windows where it is required to check the quality parameters, where the inspection, we may say the checking of the respective parameters is to be conducted. So here, first of all, if we'll look for this first stage, the raw material delivery here. So if we inspect the raw material, that is our fabric, if it has been knitted, or we may say the woven fabric. So raw material inspection is the first stage. If we'll follow strictly, and if we'll follow the SOP for the respective while inspecting the materials, say for example the defects, if the material which has been sourced and been is required to be processed for the respective styles, so the raw material inspection, it is the first stage, or we may say the first quality gates, where it is been required to check. Then after, if we'll move forward, then the raw material storage, then the fabric relaxation, spreading and cutting department. Then after, it is between about the cut work inspection and numbering. Means the three steps or the three stages after raw material inspection, when it is been then about the cutting department and about the ticketing and the numbering. So this second stage, at this second stage, if we'll introduce, and it has been followed by the industry, it's not like that this is just about that the guidelines for the to achieve the quality aspects, but this has been regularly practiced in the industry, and this is for the students, those who are in the final year, and the students those who are recently joined in an industry. So these quality points that is been followed to achieve the specific aspects that what I am describing. So here, if we'll introduce the inspection system, or if we'll introduce the quality checkpoints at this stage, so this will leads to reduce the defects which may occur in between the stitching line. Means after raw material inspection, the second stage, at the second stage, where the cutting, after the cutting operation, when the ticketing and the numbering is been given to the specific bundles, so this is required to be followed, and the inspection or the quality checkpoints, we may say it is required to follow at this stage. Then after, as the material moves forward, in stitching department, in the sewing department, inline control, this will be the an effective point, or effective we may say the stage where the quality checkpoints are required to be followed, and it is required to inspect all the parameters of the product at the respective stage. So here, inline controls, this is the third stage, or we may say the third gate for the checking the quality parameters. And thereafter, end of the line control means when the specific garment is being stitched. So at the end of that specific stitching line or sewing line, that garment it's required to be inspected. So this fourth stage is also been found effective to reduce the defect generation during the in between the process line. Then after finishing, the pre-final inspection is followed. So pre-final inspection here means when the packaging is been done, the before packaging, this pre-final inspection is this stage is again found fruitful to achieve the quality targets. Then at last, when it is been about the packaging and packing, the final random inspection is required to be conducted. So these quality gates will help to reduce the rejection percent also at the end, and this will also helpful to achieve the quality aspect at the respective stage. Let's see all these 5 stages one by one, and what are the inputs are required, what the procedure to be required to be followed here, that we'll discuss in these upcoming slides. The first one is raw material inspection. If in the raw material itself, if it has been inspected and 4-point grading system, if it has been followed properly, so then again, not only about that that it has been followed properly, but it's about the number of samples, or if we're collecting the number of the minimum 10% batch is required to be inspected. It is not like that. Suppose for example, a single bundle, or if we may say the single package or a single roll is been inspected, in between the number of rolls what are being received or what are being required for the specific style. Then here minimum 10% batch is required to be inspected, and then again So sorry for interruption. Then it's about again that fabric inspection room should have the proper equipments for the inspection. So it's about the fabric inspection machine, then about the light box, and the important is the inspection procedure board, fabric defect board. All these been displayed in the department. So whatever the operators or whatever the manpower is been following the SOP, so this is been this will be found in a reference line or a reference for the specific material inspection or the fabric inspection department. Again, the main point, if we'll found here, the segregation of the material, or we may say the specific area should be allotted to the defected material or rejected material. Means here the rejection area, or for example the substandard quality fabrics or the rejected quality fabrics, the specific area it is required to be allotted. So the quality fabrics, or we may say the good quality fabrics, or the rejected fabrics, it's been stored separately, and this will help to again getting mixing of the all the rejected and the quality material in between the process line. Then if we'll move forward in raw material inspection department, it's about the testing equipments and the machineries. Okay. And then the checkpoints, if we'll follow the 4-point system inspection should be followed. Then again, all inspections, whatever the data and the inputs are required to be recorded. And then if it follows the standards what required for the specific quality, then and then only it is been moved forward, or it is been processed for the next department. Then if we'll take an overview about the second stage where the quality aspects are required to be checked. The second stage is at the cut work inspection, means during cutting, or we may say after cutting. So here the selection of the material for inspection, or the selection of the specific the samples for inspection is being done in a proper manner, and again it is the standard SOP is required to be followed. So if in between the layers, the 3 bundles per matrices, that from the left and the middle and the right hand side is required to be checked. So this will gives a perfect quality checking for the respective style. And here what are the approved standards, or we may say the testing instruments are required to be there in the department. So we may say the inspection procedure board, then sequential numbering machine, all these equipments are required to be provided, or we may say it is been required to be followed with these equipments, all the processes what are to be followed. Then if we'll move forward into the third stage, that is inline quality control. Here after cutting, after giving the quality measures are tested, or we may say inspected in the previous stage, here inline quality control is required to be followed in the sewing department. Here inline inspection means each operations is required to be checked at least twice a day. Means it's depend on the if it has been about the export quality, and if it has been about the domestic quality, it should be getting fluctuated, and the frequency of the checking and frequency of the quality aspects checking is required to be revised. Then critical operations are 100% it is required to check. Means if it has been about the stitches, or if we'll found the inline quality inspection, if it is required, so it is required to change the frequency of checking as per the requirement. And again, they should have the specific arrangement, or we may say the procedure, that is, yes, the defected material, again if somehow the rework is required, and if the complete material, if it is been subgraded, or we may say if it is rejected, the specific area should be allotted. That is, for example, the good, rework and reject basket should be should be allotted properly, and that will be inspected, and that is been reported properly time by time. Then approved standard, if will follow a complete approved sample, it is required to display in the department, and an approved mockup is available and the displayed for the critical operations, and the inspection report with the number, always it is been recorded and it is been followed to the for the next process, or we may say the next department. Then if we'll follow the inline control, if we'll see if what is the purpose, what is the requirement. So to eliminate the workmanship defects from semi-finished products before it is completed, means, for example, if one garment, or if it upon a style, if it is been stitched in an improper manner, of somehow the stitches, or we may say the seam has been not been stitched properly. So if rework is required, so that specific garment or that specific lot, which maybe will fall into the rejected or the subgraded quality, that is been avoided. Then how it is been followed by a visual control of quality against the whatever the instructions what we are following. Then requirements, each operation control at least twice a day, that what we have seen in the previous slide. Then again, if we'll found here the equipments which are required, that inspection instructions, then light color table, measurement tape, defect stickers, rework and reject baskets, all these resources, all these equipments, we may say it is being provided properly to the department. Then at last, end of the line inspection, that is at the fourth stage, means we may say it's the fourth checkpoint, or we may say the fourth check post, in other words, where we should inspect the style or the specific garment for the Now here, inline inspection, the 100% visual control, it has been required. That critical measurement control means while inspecting the specific garment, the standards, then again whatever the checkpoints, it has been strictly required to follow. Then again, if the materials which are been, it has been if we say that if it has been identified, or somehow the number of samples or number of styles, if it has been found at the subgraded quality, so the complete process, or we may say the complete at every stage of the stitching, it is required to be revised for checking, and that will be also helpful to avoid the rejection % of the specific garment. Then we'll move forward here. Again, it's about the QC instructions, and all the information is being displayed, or it is required to be displayed in the department, and it is required to be followed. Again here, the rework basket and the specific area is required to be allotted. And at last, if we'll move in a final inspection stage, here the final random inspection it is required to conduct before the shipment, and this is been strictly again followed. For example, in a random selection of the samples from the packages, it is required to check, and this will helpful to again follow the quality standards what are being required for the specific customers. Then again, here we may say in an inspection room, the final inspection room, what are the equipments are required to be provided, that as the light color table, defect stickers, inspection procedure board, good quality standard, then measurement tape. These are the all small resources, but small points, but this will play an important role or key to achieve the quality aspect. Then SOP, at last, it is required to be followed for the respective quality requirements. So I think it's not up to the expectation that what the Mishra sir has been prepared for, but I have tried and hope so that all these instructions, or we may say these PPTs will helpful, and the information will be helpful for basically to understand the quality control aspects in the RMG sector. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. In short period of time, you have put very wonderful session in front of the participants, and your session was very detailed and technical discussions you have conducted in these sessions. So I am very much confident that you have imparted valuable knowledge to our participants. If anyone having any questions, they can ask. Or you can put your questions in chat box also. Yes, sir, definitely we will share the PDF on the mail. If you are not having any questions, then now time, just a minute, sir. Sorry, sir. Now time's come to conclude today's management development program. Now I would like to call our beloved Associate Dean, sir, Dr. Rakshit, sir, for concluding today's management development program session. Please,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon once again, those who are on board. And if our presenters are there available, please put your videos on. Oh, thank you so much. Once again, I could see Dharmin and Srini also. Lovely to see you once again. Let me come down to the concluding session. One of the, I don't know, most important or the most beautiful. Which one? Important because it is a summing up session, and beautiful because, yes, I would like to get you people once again for all the supports what you had extended throughout the day today. Mr. Naveen Agarwal was expected to join, but possibly he has regretted that he will not be able to make it to the concluding session today. Friends, there are mixed composition of the audience. At the moment, after the last session, it was around 50, and the highest number of participants around 11:30 was 120. I'd like to share with the participants that there are people from two other countries. One is Ethiopia, and the other is Tashkent. What is that? So some people from abroad also, they join us, and there is a reason to it. Couple of our faculty members deliver lectures or invited a guest speaker for those universities. I'd like to congratulate my faculty members also, and this is really a proud feel of myself that the faculty members are so proactive that they can also extend their services for the other universities abroad. Back to the today's session, possibly those who are, sorry, I would like to mention one more thing, that there are a couple of all the institutions across India, people have joined the session, and couple of research scholars in universities like Odisha and I think VJTI also, they have also joined, though the research scholars means the PhD students. Now let me sum up with what has been discussed today. Let me start with the topics which has been distributed at the backdrop of ready-made garment industry. In the beginning also I said one is the supply chain management, production merchandising, inventory control or inventory management, quality control and brand building. First, I would like to thank from the bottom of my heart that all the presenters have done extremely well, and the questions which we had collected at the time of registration as well as the chat box questions have answered very nicely, very nicely. I'm sure there is a large amount of takeaway from all the speakers, those who are there today. To be specific, Mr. Srinidhi Nadgowda really has put upon a wonderful perspective about the current supply chain situation in our country and what should be do's and don'ts for that, or to understand that how to rectify your own problems and put it in perspective. That was fantastic. The presentation was also good, well accepted and understood by the people. Production merchandising. Mr. Mohite has explained so nicely that even I have understood very clearly that what the merchandiser is supposed to do. Some days back, a couple of our friends, I mean, they are in a group called View. This particular group also drops in the advertisements for merchandisers. There was one advertisement I could see that the merchandiser almost having all the elements of work which the general manager of the company is supposed to do. So putting all these things together, had I had a chance to give a PowerPoint presentation or a screen sharing, possibly I could have done with that. I mean to say that the merchandiser's responsibility and the roles is so big, and smaller the company is, larger the exposure or the responsibilities. That's how it is. So the merchandiser is a very important role to play in any of the RMG sector organization, and that has been very clearly explained by Mohite, Mr. Mohite, and then comes Dharmen Mehta. Wonderful. I would like to sum up, Dharmen, your presentation or your activity in one way. It is better to travel the way where people are less. Less traveled route also leads you to the same target in a difficult terrain, but reaches finally. So that is how it is. The premium brand building, once again, Pavan Thukral has done a wonderful job on brand building exercises. It was a beautiful lecture, I should say, as if some teacher is actually teaching that what should be the elements of a brand building. But I understand it is not only for the ready-made garments. I mean, I am shifting a little bit to Pavan's presentation, but I think it is for any product or any services that fits into his presentation. Anyway, Pavan, I would say thanks to you in the later stage, but coming back to Dharmen Mehta's activity, first I will also feel proud, as you have already said in the beginning of the session, that okay, I was your teacher at certain point of time. It gets me the pride to say that okay, Dharmen, you have done a very good job over these last 30 years or so in your profession. Thank you so much, and being with us, it's a pleasure for us, it's a pride for us, and it's a really a big input for us, for the entire community at CTF, as well as the persons, those who have joined this program.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, I just
Sir, I will just leave it to you, certainly. Srini, I will also. And as I have already said about the brand building, which is a topic and well said by Pavan Thukral, very young orator, but I find a lot of good things in him. Unfortunately, he was physically not present today, but at least he made his commitments very nicely. Yesterday afternoon, around this time, after 4 o'clock, he suddenly says that, sir, his communication was like this. Yesterday evening, 4 o'clock, there is a call. He says, sir, I have a problem, but I have a solution too. Both I want to share with you. So this was something. My problem is I will not be able to make myself available for the presentation. But the solution is I will record it and I will do it in such a way that you will be able to transmit and share with the audience. Number one. And number two, even if I am on the move, I will connect and the question hour session. So he did, and he did exactly what he said in the evening yesterday. Thank you, Pawan, once again, and thanks for your wonderful presentation. Last but not the least, Mr. Naveen Mishra had some commitments, suddenly came in and from Creative Garments. A nice person, but unfortunately he was not available. But given a very explicit PowerPoint presentation, I thanks to my colleague here, Professor Tushar Patil, who presented the content, and the content was extremely informative. With all this, I would like to thank all of you once again and expect that we should have a wonderful programs and various other suggestions, whatever has come in from different corners. Our director and BOS members and everybody, we will certainly maintain it for our future interactions. I would first like to go to Srini, who wanted to say something.
Yes, certainly. It was nicely organized by the institute, very well managed. Professor Sujit or Professor Pranjali, and of course, Rachit sir, you did a wonderful job of bringing such a knowledgeable people on as a co-speakers. It was a fantastic, whether it was Mr. Moite or Mr. Thakural, it was very interesting to know. And of course, Dharmen. In fact, Dharmen has been working on a lot of product activities like smart textiles or functional textiles. It is, I thought probably Dharmen will touch base upon some of those very interesting subject for the knowledge of students or for everyone. Maybe we'll have one more lecture on that.
Srini, it is not a smart textile, it's a wearable technology.
Yes, it's part of smart textiles. So wearable but smart textiles. So Dharmen probably can have a next time. Probably we can have his lecture on this very interesting subject. I would also like to join for that kind of a seminar.
Very nice. See, actually, taking the lead from director's statements in the morning, we will do some lecture series as an industry connect.
Yeah.
So in that we will try to invite all the people, because see, more I do, more I understand that who is conversant in which area. In fact, 10 years before, when Mr. Nadgowda was in touch with me, I could make out that, okay, this is his comfort zone. But today when I speak, I understand he has a bigger comfort zone also. So we will be also invited for some this kind of specific subjects in a specific domain, and for the final year students, so that they can get the real benefit. Dharmen also, really, I'm sorry, but I could recollect your name, but thank you so much once again that we could connect once again. So
it was my pleasure.
The smart textiles, even interlining, you won't believe, interlining is a subject which we understand, we wear every time, but we understand little days. Even that kind of things also 1 hour interactive session can be done, and we can do it this way. Today, God forbids, I mean, COVID should move, but at least the COVID has given us one chance to interact with the people at any corner of the world. That is true. And that's how we can share our exchanges, share our thoughts and knowledge and exchanges from any corner of the country. Anyway, before anybody speaks, I would like to shift to Rashmi sir. Rashmi bhai. Hello. Sir, are you listening? Yeah.
Whatever I wanted to say, Mr. Srini has summarized all. So thank you, Dr. Rakshit. And one thing I just want to confirm that I hope all the students and the faculty of our institute are attending this.
Yeah, sure. That is true.
No, are they attending all this?
I think who will answer? Okay, let me answer the question. Basically, the final year students, majority of the around 25-30 final year students were there in the morning, of which 5 left in between. Even if now we have around 31-32 people in the on board. Now the students have left at the moment. The concluding session, they are not interested, but they have attended quite a bit in number. Although they are in the industrial training program now, which will be finishing, they will finish by 15th of February, but still they connected. the final year.
Okay, good. Because
So
for them it is very important.
Very important, very important. Yes. And even it will be lecture series. In the morning, there was another arrangement we had made in one of our lecture rooms that the first session, before lunch session, it was, transmission or projection, you can say, projection transmission in the classroom, and the students had attended there. The first year and second year students inside the department, they attended the lectures on screen through transmission, through projection. So that's how we had arranged this also. Every month, we organize one program. Next month's program is yet to be decided, of course, but let me share with you, it will be mostly on the entrepreneurship development. That was the first thought. But I have another thought in between, because the budget program is there on 1st of February. The February program will be on the government schemes to rejuvenate textile industry in the coming decade. That should have been a topic which will be more relevant in my opinion. And these kind of exposures will help both the faculty members and many people, those who are in the industry today, which will help them. MSME concept and MSME related जो मतलब बातें चलती थी पिछले डिकेड में, वो थोड़ा सा भी हटके आ रहा है कि MSME के ऊपर जाकर कि ये ब्रांड बिल्डिंग और मिड सेगमेंट में मतलब 10 CR plus investment की companies will come more closely, if I am correct. Dharmen and other people are more aware to comment upon it, but this is my expectation that, okay. Thank you, Naveen. Okay, lovely to see you once again. Yes, I'm really, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank Naveen and thank my ATE Enterprises for their continued support for CTF. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Be there. Please, your observation for the day. Hello. Yeah,
just a minute, sir.
Just a minute. Okay. Something. Sujit is my support for this IT part of things,
Done, sir.
That's it.
Sorry, yes. I was kept on mute, so I could not talk. But I was listening to the last session. Of course, I could not attend after Srini's presentation. I had to attend that PLI scheme and then some personal things and all. But as per my commitment, I'm here for the concluding session. I don't have any doubt on all the speakers, those who have sent online, recorded, or those who have done directly like Dharmen and all. I know many of his idea, sometimes stupid idea, which are the great idea coming out from him many times. And now we are realizing that whatever he was telling before 5 years, we used to say that तेरे दिमाग में ऐसा idea क्यों आता है? And today everything is getting realistic. What he used to talk, and things are like that. So thanks, I think what work CTF is doing, bringing the industry experts. Like last time we call all the denim people together and enhance the knowledge of student with respect to the yarn properties, and now with related to garment. One more session can be kept purely on the technical textile, which is the topic of the day. I would still suggest that the government policies and all, if you can keep in April, because there are some new changes coming in the ATOP scheme. By the time the TTDS, Textile Technology Development Scheme is coming, and PLI scheme, there will be some good roadmap will be happening after I attended today's meeting. I can share today's presentation also, Doctor, to you, which will be useful for you and students and all. So better, I think, on the government scheme and all, better you keep in the April. You will have a much more good information than now. Of course, that will also cover the budget numbers, whatever it is. So that's all from my side. Thanks. Will not taking much of all of your time. I think it's good that everyone is sitting here since morning 10 o'clock and 10:30 and still now. So that's a great from each one, student, faculty, and all the speakers. Thank you from my side.
Sudhir Moite sir is on board now once again. He is visible. Mr. Moite, you can just put on your microphone and if you want to share some experience of the day, please.
आज का एक्सपीरियंस बहुत ही अच्छा रहा क्योंकि मेरे लिए फर्स्ट टाइम एज ए स्पीकर एज ए एक्सपीरियंस बताना था, क्योंकि लास्ट 30 ईयर हमने जब इंडस्ट्री में काम ही किया कि वेरियस स्टेट लाइक तिरुपुर, कर्नाटक, इन बैंगलोर, मुंबई एंड लास्ट 23-24 इन गुजरात। बट स्पीच देने का फर्स्ट टाइम आ गया, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा। एंड मैं कॉलेज को भी थैंक्स बोलना चाहता हूँ कि आप ये इतने करते, इतने एक्सपर्टाइज जो इंडस्ट्रीज के सभी जेंटलमैन हैं, तो उनको इकट्ठा करके जो शेयर, जो भी नॉलेज आप ले लेते हैं, वो सारा नॉलेज आप स्टूडेंट्स को देते हैं। इट्स अ बिग अपॉर्चुनिटी, मतलब बिग चैलेंज है, और उनको आप शेयर कर रहे हैं, वो बहुत अच्छी बात है। इसमें मैं आपको एक सजेशन देना चाहता हूँ, क्योंकि क्या है, जैसे आपकी टेक्सटाइल रिलेटेड जो भी सारी इंडस्ट्रीज आपके पास है, बट ऐसा ही स्मॉल इंडस्ट्री, गारमेंट इंडस्ट्री भी आप चालू कर सकते हैं। बिकॉज इसमें ये है कि ये चैलेंजिंग वर्क है, एंड गारमेंट चालू करने के लिए मतलब अलग अलग टाइप का था कि लाइक स्किल आदमी से कर सकते हैं गारमेंट इंडस्ट्री। बट अभी ऐसा नहीं रह गया है, क्योंकि इधर यहाँ पे ना थ्रू ट्रेनिंग एवरीथिंग इज पॉसिबल। बिकॉज चाहिए अभी आने वाले जो इंडस्ट्री में जो चैलेंज है, वो चैलेंज ओनली रूरल एरिया में। और आप जो भी गारमेंट इंडस्ट्री अगर ओपन करते हैं, तो नॉट लाइक पीस रेट वगैरह, जो उन्हें उनको है ना ट्रेनिंग देना जाता है ईच एंड एवरी स्टेज का, लाइक कटिंग, सुइंग के सारे मशीनरी एंड अप टू पैकिंग तक। तो उसमें क्या होता है कि अपनी जो कॉस्ट है ना, कॉस्ट मेंटेन हो जाती है, और हमें उनको उस लेवल की ट्रेनिंग दिया जाता है। कभी एक एक्सपर्ट मतलब स्किल टेलर एंड नॉन सेमी स्किल टेलर अगर आप मर्ज करोगे, तो वो मिसमैच होता है। तो वो अपने का जो फोकस जो होता है, जो प्रोडक्टिविटी एंड बिजनेस फोकस होता है, वो सक्सेस नहीं होता है। तो मैं एक यही सजेशन देना चाहता हूँ कि आप अगर एक स्मॉल इंडस्ट्री अगर गारमेंट की करते हैं, तो अपने स्टूडेंट भी वहाँ पे सक्सेस हो जाता है, उनको एक जॉब भी मिल जाएगा, एंड रूरल एरिया में अदर लोगों को भी जॉब मिल सकता है। बस थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Very nice. Moitu sir, I'd like to express or share some observations and information even for my colleagues, those who are there. The last observation, what you said that, okay, the garment industry and exposure of the students there, plus job opportunities.
Yeah.
Shirpur Textile Park is well equipped now. Okay. This even I was not aware of, because I have stepped once or twice earlier, but that is also for academic reason. I did never go to Shirpur Textile Park. Today, when I came here over the last 3-4 months, I have a lot of exposure to this particular park and the composition of the industries and their senior people. There is a company called Dweta Garments. We have the subjects here. Dweta, D-W-E-T-A, Dweta Garments.
Yeah, I had.
I think some of you might be aware of, those who are in this thing. This company has a wonderful setup. सुबह सुबह पूजा करना चाहिए था। खैर, so this company extends practical classes, services of practical classes on their shop floor, and that helps us to build the students quite easily. After the classroom lecture, we take them to that shop floor, and that happens for the spinning and weaving activities as well. And Dweta Garments, at the moment, over the last 4-5 years, pass out students, I think 3 or 4 persons are working, and equal number they had been working, now shifted to some other companies. So the students have job opportunities, they have wonderful learning opportunities, and all these things are happening. This is one. Second is, 2 students of ours, those who have passed out hardly 3 to 4 years before. Pranjali Madam would have been a better person to speak about it. One boy who has started manufacturing garments with 30 stitching machines somewhere near Shirpur. Okay, and the boy came to have an open house session with the current students and all this. I had spoken to him, and he appears to be a wonderful entrepreneur in this process. And there is a girl from Nashik who is passed out from our center and has started a showroom selling, I think, women dresses or something like that. So my point is that, so the entrepreneurship approach or the aptitude is still inculcated, and the person who is in the garment manufacturing, he was really very gray, but he still picked up, and now he's a very mature person to speak about that what he is doing and very confident about. And the girl who is in the Nashik showroom also, she runs very well. So my point is that if these kind of inputs with all of your knowledgeable people, those who are practicing, professionals for quite some time, start exchanging your views, all of us can enrich our knowledge, ideas, as well as deliverables. I once again thank you all to be with us for the whole day and sparing your time. Be with us for future also. Thank you from my side. If anybody want to share any of the information, please, it is still open. Because we want to be informal more than become a formal interaction. We will definitely put an open house with industry partners in the coming days. Surely, we will do this.
So I just need to extend what you said, sir, about the entrepreneurship skill.
Yeah.
I think having our own garment unit requires a very small amount of finance to start with.
Yeah, exactly.
Any entrepreneur, be it a mechanical, civil, electrical, textile, any engineer, I think we are the only engineers who can start with a small amount, and that's the only garment industry.
Absolutely.
And it's not only the entrepreneurship, but only thing is a pass out guy going into the garment can employ 10 people.
That is another plus point
Yes.
of the whole process.
So that's the another plus point of we being an employer rather being an employee.
And this is going to happen in my perception. I mean, now the country is changing. Honestly speaking, the typical clutch, diplomatic clutch, it is there. It would be there. I understand. Somebody asked you about the permissions and licenses and so on and so forth. This will definitely remain there, but still there are scopes and chances that the people will create an attitude that okay, we should not be employee, and rather we should be providing jobs to the people.
The current examples, I would just say that government has opened the MSME sector for the military and the defense supply.
Yes, definitely.
That's again like one of my friend from IIT. There were a couple of people joined together and started manufacturing these drones.
Yeah.
And they have made also this bulletproof jackets. Today, government has given them the orders for somewhere around $300 million. So they government has stopped importing it. And since I'm doing this wearable technology part, so I had given one product to the defense, which was a helmet for the armed personnel. The price was somewhere around 9 lakh rupees.
One piece.
One piece.
Yeah.
So the question came to me, are you going to manufacture here in India? If yes, then let's go ahead. Otherwise, let's stop it here.
It has to be.
So
see, I tell you,
that's again a plus point for an entrepreneur to do this development work and do the manufacturing, because now these sectors are also getting opened up.
It actually, I want to share one information. You are all familiar with, you were in Mumbai, Bhor Industries.
Yes.
Yeah. I think Dharmed is quite aware of, because see, the composites using carbon will be coming in a big way. At the moment, see, the composites are there for a couple of products, including the turbines, windmill. Majority, all these blades are composite. Suzlon, basically Suzlon is working upon it heavily. But that is only glass fiber. But ceramic fiber, carbon fiber, you forget about other things, Nomex and Dyneema and all these things, you put aside, keep it aside. These fibers will come in a big way. What kind of a helmet you are talking about, I may not be familiar, but if you can share, it is like this. So this is the Atmanirbhar Bharat program only is going to address this kind of problem.
Sir, of late, I have also used this Make in India technology, Make in India scheme by the government. India was not at all producing the suit interlinings.
No. Yeah.
The suit
truly.
interlining is 100% polyester interlining using double dot coating. There was only one factory which was running in a small way in North India. And every month, almost around 40 feet containers was being imported into India, all from China. India has the highest polyester spinning capacity. Still, we were not able to make a simple 70 GSM fabric. There is no rocket science in interlining or the coating. Still, people were not doing it. And last year, during the pandemic, we, with my partner, have started up a factory in Surat for manufacturing suit interlinings. So we are the second to manufacture suit interlinings here in India, though we are not still to those levels of quality. But yes, we have reached somewhere around 60% capacity.
Okay.
So the point is, the schemes are coming in. Pardon, sir?
Non-woven interlining or woven?
No, it's 100% polyester woven.
Woven. Okay. Okay.
And it is the fabric as light as 30 GSM.
It has to be. It is close to a parachute cloth.
Parachute cloth is a high density. This is a very low density.
Low density. That's fine.
So the schemes are there. Schemes are there for the entrepreneurs to do the things and take the advantage.
True. Very good. So nice. It is almost like 4:30 today, and it is closed down. Is it okay with all of your permissions? Thank you so much once again. Bye.
Thank you, Srini, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you.
Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Feedback form is given
Thank you.
for participants. Please submit it.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, sir. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.